GEGP.
Ray is still catching his breath from yesterday. You know what I like? I like that everyone else loves the receiver class.
He has been damn near unstartable for 2 years, and you keep jamming him in your lineup.
Here's the kicker, Ray.
The offensive line was a wreck. They don't have a lot of weapons out there.
I'm clueless at how to get this data. I just send him a message like, hey, can you pull like this for me and just send me a spreadsheet so I can look at it? GEGP. It is Sunday night, April 27, 2025. We are back with the second episode of the season of Destination Chill. And this is the second year in a row that we are going to be going through every single skill player. Thank you, everybody, for tapping in tonight, this entire weekend from Thursday morning all the way until Sunday night. And it will end draft coverage tomorrow morning on Wake Up with Ray and Jay. Ray, we are back again for, I think this is the fourth show that we have done in the last 48 hours together, including the marathon on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the post-draft shows that we've done. But I'm excited to be here, man. This is my favorite show of the year. I tweeted it out earlier when the DD handle put out the promo for tonight, going through every single player. And it's not going to be what everybody thinks, right? We're not going to be talking trade value. We're not going to be talking about ADP. We're just going to be talking straight opinions, ADV, sentiment. I'm excited for it. It is the new Dynasty analysis from DD Fantasy and Ray Garvin NFL. What's good, my friend?
Man, appreciate you, man. Great intro. And yeah, a lot of streams, a lot of content that we've pumped out over the past couple of days, and it doesn't stop, man. We got a dope show tonight. Wake Up with me and Jay Rich tomorrow, and then I'm sure the whole team is going to continue to talk about this. There's going to be a lot of analysis out there, but tonight on this show, hopefully, this is exactly what people want to hear. Just our raw, unfiltered thoughts about these players, these landing spots, these situations, because there's going to be a lot of things that change as we progress through OTAs and rookie minicamp. But right now, people are just truly like, what do you feel about these players? It's, what do you think about Judkins in his spot versus Samson versus Kaleb? And we're only focusing on fantasy relevant players tonight. So quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends. But Scott, we got a lot to get through, man. We got a lot to get through. So you ready to just take it from the top and go?
Yeah, and before we do, leave your comments. We want to obviously engage with you, but this probably isn't the show for your trade questions, your theory questions. If you're interested in all that, I'm going to be on stages every day in our community for the next 2 weeks. So it's going to be an hour or more. I'm just sitting in there. I'm doing my own drafts. I'm working.
What stages? What is stages for people who want to know what the hell that is? What are you talking about? What is stages?
So join our community, ddfantasyfootball.com. You can try it out for the first month. Jump in there. Stages, we just literally get up on a stage within the Discord like this. People can ask their questions, their trades, their rookie drafts. What do I do in this scenario? How do I dissect this format for the war? Like, we'll go through that stuff, one-on-one attention. But if you want that kind of stuff answered, jump in there, try it out. I'll promise you, Ray, this is the month to do it. If you're wondering, like, man, I got to look at a lot of rookie drafts that are starting tomorrow that have already started today, like, get in there, try it out. Promise you won't want to leave. We have built lifelong friends, acquaintances through that community that will never die regardless of what happens with all of this fantasy stuff. So check it out, ddfantasyfootball.com. You get access to the tools as well if you join up there. But that's not going to be tonight. If you want to throw super chats in there, fine. But everything else, it's just going to be Ray and I vibing on every single player that got drafted. So I am ready. Where do you want to start? You want to go by position? You want to go by draft order? I'm kind of indifferent. What do you think?
Let's just go by draft order. Kind of relive the draft moment. Okay. There's nothing wrong with reliving it to a certain degree. So let's just go from the top and work our way down. Scott, let's go.
So Cam Ward, 101. Only quarterback drafted in the top 10. Only quarterback drafted in the top 20. I think the big debate with Cam Ward, Ray, is that I think everybody knows, man, he should probably go higher than a lot of people I've seen drafting him in rookie drafts. I saw him fall to the 107 today. And I think it's just because running back fever, everybody wants their taste of whatever running back they prefer after Jeanty. And then obviously the allure of Hunter and Tet. But I think it comes down to what is the sentiment on the true upside of Cam Ward? He's got everything else, right? He's got the experience. He's got the one-on-one commitment from a team. Doesn't quite have the weapons. But I think that might work in his favor because I do think expectations for him are lower than what they were for TeSlaa, for Kaleb, for Bryce. You know what I mean? Because they don't see that scenario. They don't see the expectation for him. But I think we could see if he progresses good this year, next year is when they get him there, his Malik Neighbors, his Tet, you know what I mean? Whoever that is, whatever capacity that is, I think there's a little built-in subdued expectation for Cam Ward. But it comes down to what is his ultimate upside? If he's successful, does he have a higher ceiling to get to, can he get to the Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert ceiling? Maybe not even elite of the elite, but can he get there? I think that's what people are debating if they take him versus everybody else.
If he's the prospect that people think he is, then I think so. And I'll just say that the treatment that I've seen from him from Tennessee doesn't feel like he was just the best of a bad bunch of quarterbacks. When you bring Warren Moon in, unretire his jersey, it feels like this is a guy that they would have, they clearly took him over a player that people thought was generational in Travis Hunter and a potential Micah Parsons 2.0. I've heard more and seen more about a fifth-round quarterback post-draft than I have Cam Ward. So it doesn't shock me that he's falling a little bit in rookie drafts, and I think that's a mistake. I've got him 105 in my freshly updated ranks, which you can get on ddfantasyfootball.com. Travis Hunter goes off the board at 2. Thoughts?
Man, I think we've all started to buy into the hype after Thursday. I was skeptical that you can't necessarily plug in that draft capital and say highest drafted receiver of all time, basically. But then you start to read through the tea leaves and it's like, okay, maybe if he wasn't a corner, he might not have gone in the top 3. But it sounds like he would have gone in the top 10, top 8. You know what I mean? It sounds like he's that good and that's how much they like him. They didn't trade up a future first to get him just because he's the athlete. I think they did it because I almost feel like, Ray, this is, even if he's a little disappointing one of the ways, they feel like he could be an all-pro on the other side, that it was still worth making that move because they're making the same bets that a lot of the Dynasty players are. You know what I mean? There's multiple outcomes that they could benefit from here. So I'm buying into the hype. Every model I've seen's got him as a top 5 all-time receiver. Can't push him any higher than the 102 or 103. But I'm in. I want some shares, even if I got to take him at the 102 over Hampton, over Tet. You know what I mean? I want a couple shares of Travis Hunter. I'm in.
Yeah, and Alex, the ranks are Patreon. You can get him Patreon or the website. I've got Hunter currently as my 3rd overall player. He's behind Omarion Hampton, but I've also got my pre-draft grades. He's graded higher than everybody else. So do with that what you will. Wide receiver, Liam Cohen. I am not worried about Brian Thomas either way. I think both of those players can be successful inside of that offense. I actually like the slanting spot even better than Cleveland, and we were already prepared to take him and be excited about him going to the Browns. So Travis Hunter off of the board 2. I'm very happy about this spot, very high on this player. Ashton Jeanty goes to the Las Vegas Raiders at pick 6. I'll just say the Raiders were awful at running the ball. This is one, the more I was thinking about this. I was using the bathroom, Scott. I'm trying to be clean tonight. I was using the bathroom, right? And I'm thinking about this before we get on the show. This feels I feel more bullish about Jeanty's rookie season outcome than I even do Bijan Robinson. And here's why. I feel like with Bijan, you had this Ferrari type weapon that could be used in the receiving game, but they don't want to run him too much. They've got Algier. This just feels like they're not going to be cute with Ashton Jeanty. This was a bottom rushing attack, dead last in 3rd down rushing conversions. They had no first downs. Goal line attempts were bottom of the league. This just feels like a team is going to turn around and give Ashton Jeanty the ball. They're not going to get cute. They're not going to do all this stuff and let's put him at receiver. No. Geno Smith, turn around, hand him the ball 19 plus times a game. He'll catch a few passes. I just feel really good about his outlook in year 1. I'm very bullish on this situation in Las Vegas, even though the offensive line might not be all the way there.
Isn't it funny how a couple years ago we would have been concerned if a player was basically drafted in there to get the wheels run off of him? And now it's like that's exactly what you want. And the way most people play in Dynasty, if you told me that Ashton Jeanty's career is going to be 2 years shorter because he gets 23 touches a game for the first 3 years of his career, most Dynasty players would go, who cares? 101 doesn't matter. You know what I mean? That kind of feels like his attitude. The little bit I've seen of him is they could come to him and go, we're going to give you every carry, every game. And he's like, bring it on.
Bring it on.
Whereas I think Bijan, Gibbs, those guys were more like,
that's what I said. Yeah,
exactly.
They're more Lamborghini, Ferrari, and Jeanty may perform that way. And I'm not using this as a negative on him. He just feels like a Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, Raiders running back. No nonsense. We're not going to get cute. You know what we're going to do. I dare you to try to stop him. So Ashton Jeanty, I think we all feel good about that pick, as well as Hunter and Cam Ward. Talk about Tetairoa McMillan, T-Mac. I'm not going to call him what he doesn't want to be called. T-Mac, second wide receiver off the board, top 10 pick, goes to Carolina.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's got the profile that's almost ironclad. He was the wide receiver 1 from the get-go. Good analytical profile. Top 10 capital to a spot where he's clearly the best receiver on the roster. And with a offensive coach that people liked with Canales and a number 1 former quarterback throwing him the ball. All the things, yet I think he's just a victim of some of the circumstance that we've seen, Ray, where it's like, I can't quite buy into him being an elite receiver, but to me, he's an elite receiver. At least it's an elite profile. Does that mean he ends up a top 5 receiver, top 8 receiver, and he's better than a lot of these other guys that are already there? No, I'm not guaranteeing you he's better than Garrett Wilson or Drake London, but he's got everything that those guys had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he should be treated as such. So I think it's a pretty ironclad profile. It's funny. Travis Hunter passed him up this weekend on KTC. Blew past him.
Yeah. That's not shocking.
Right?
Not shocking.
Not shocking, but isn't it interesting that this is, you know what this is? This is Malik Neighbors passing up Marv last year just based on buzz. You know what I mean? And we because I think those results happened last year, people are like, well, Hunter's already better than Tet. It's very interesting to me, but they're both ironclad, top 10 receiver profiles, like get some shares. So
yep. Colston Loveland goes 10th overall as the first tight end off of the board to the Chicago Bears, who new offensive coordinator Ben Johnson was excited to get him. Colston Loveland, I think these next 2 players, we'll just say Colston Loveland and the next player we're going to talk about, Tyler Warren, coming off the board within 4 picks of one another. Touch on Loveland, and then you can go ahead and give me your thoughts on Tyler Warren.
Yeah, there's not a lot to say about Loveland. I mean, they clearly invested an extremely valuable pick in him. And we were talking about this last night in voice chat, Ray, that everything the Bears did kind of screams that, yeah, they may be really focused on pumping up Kaleb, but they're doing it in a different way than Ben Johnson did in Detroit. 2 totally different quarterbacks between Kaleb and Jared Goff, right? So what does that mean for Colston Loveland's fantasy production? I mean, I think it's probably an early struggle. I do think there's a world where you look up halfway through the season and he is one of the premier options.
I can see that.
People go, man, I wish I wouldn't have let him. I wouldn't take him. We're not talking about extreme formats here. Like, I'm not that interested in him just because there's so many other good prospects. But I don't hate making sure I get 1 or 2 shares when you're at that late first, early second when he falls. You know what I mean? And I've seen him fall as far as the 204, 1.5 premium. And that's just people just do not want anything other than what's going to smash for them right away. He could burn you. So, but it's a tough spot. It really is a tough spot with them taking Burden in the second. Like, it's hard to see him day one smashing.
Could be an awesome NFL fit. I believe that he is going to be an awesome NFL fit. And what if I told you a year from now, Kaleb Williams is the quarterback throwing the ball 600 times? If you're telling me Caleb's going to throw the ball 600 plus times and you've got this move level of tight end, I don't want to go crazy, but why can't he play and occupy a similar role that Travis Kelce has occupied with the Kansas City Chiefs? That's Sam Laporta. Why can't he be the number 2 option behind Rome Odunze? I very much think that in a couple of years we could look up and be like, he's the second best passing option behind Rome Odunze. But the immediate outlook and the immediate opportunity, it's tough. DJ Moore is still there. Cole Kmet, I don't think either of us think that Colston Loveland is a inferior player, but Kmet is still there being a Nat. And they drafted Luther Burden. So I like Colston Loveland a lot. I love his prospect profile. I think he's an incredible tight end for me. And I've been 10 toes down on this since Thursday night. I would take Tyler Warren over him right now in all formats. I believe the opportunity is there. The NFL said the talent-wise was preference. They went 4 picks apart, so you can't sell me that Loveland was drafted super high and then Warren fell. They were essentially back-to-back offensive weapon picks. You had a guard and a DN go in between them. I know Anthony Richardson is not a very good quarterback, and offensively it looks scary as hell, but I'm going to trust the opportunity. I've said it a million times. He is not Brock Bowers as a prospect, but even so, as good as Bowers was as a prospect, everybody just downed his situation coming out of the draft, right? No quarterback in Las Vegas. I'm just not going to do that. They drafted him 14th overall, and to be quite honest, do you really feel great about any of the pass catching options in Indianapolis outside of Pittman being what Pittman has been the first 4 or 5 years of his career? Josh Downs, Adonai Mitchell, nor Alec Pierce scare me enough to back off of a player that a lot of people thought was a top 10 prospect. I'm still good with Tyler Warren in Indianapolis. If you want to say I'll buy him after year 1, then fine. But for the sake of this show and my immediate thought, I'm not scared away by his landing spot. The capital and the talent still reign supreme for me.
Yeah, I mean, people have heard me talk about this landing spot, and I will say situations change quick. Perceptions on situations change quick. So just understand what you're drafting, right? Like you can't go, well, I need this immediate production and then take Tyler Warren over one of the running backs and then complain about it. You know what I mean? Just understand what you're drafting. That's all. Even if everything goes favorably from Warren, it's going to take a little time to get there. You know what I mean? They're going to give A-Rich another leash, maybe a couple chances.
They are.
So it isn't like by week 4, he's going to be producing top 5 numbers as a rookie. It's just probably not going to happen. So just understand what you're drafting and have the plan around that time frame. It's probably going to take 9 to 18 months for you to get into the sweet spot of Tyler Warren and having that asset on your team. It's not going to happen right away. So just understand that.
Emeka Egbuka goes 19th overall to the Buccaneers. You're going to have that same level of analysis right here?
Yeah, I think this is the ultimate deferred gratification pick, Ray. Yep. People are already expecting him, man. I just listened to a show today, and you got they hit me with the old temper the expectations. I still don't know what that means because my expectations aren't that high. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm thinking he's going to be a 100-target guy right off the rip. So the temper the expectations, I think, is a weird way to phrase it. But I do think the community has already built that into his value. That's why he's falling to the late first, despite a really, really good profile. Really safe, I think, with this capital to become one of the next Robin receiver in the NFL, where you're just like, that guy's a good receiver. You know what I mean? And it feels like people are going to give him credit for that. If he goes out and he's just pedestrian this year, he'll get a pass, which makes me interested in investing where it's going to take to get him. Because I think at next year, he'll just get a complete forgiveness in year 1, which makes that a much less volatile profile than some of the guys we're going to talk about a little later.
Yeah, it's hard to ignore the capital. He was a first-round wide receiver. He was a top 20 pick. He was drafted higher than Jackson Smith and Jigba. He was drafted in a higher slot than Jordan Addison. He was 19th overall. If Chris Godwin is healthy, and when Mike Evans is healthy, those two are going to be the primary options. I do not believe that Jayden McMillan did anything to warrant him coming off of the field for no reason. I don't believe that teams do things like that. Emeka's going to be on the field, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ran 4 wide receivers out there all the damn time. And then you have an injury recovered Chris Godwin trying to come back from injury. Mike Evans is going to miss time, and they really didn't have anybody else. Remember when Evans and Godwin were out and they were rolling out Sterling Shepard and Raheem Jarrett? You can't do that. Not with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. You have to make sure that you're protected there. I think this is a long-term play as well. We could look up a year from now at the end of this season. Mike Evans is sailed off into the sun, and you've got an Emeka Egbuka, Jalen McMillan, Chris Godwin-led offense with Baker Mayfield. So my expectations in year 1 are low. Great player. I want shares, but my expectations are low. This is a year 2 and beyond play for me, and of course, he's going to have his opportunities and spike and have some nice outings in his rookie season. He'll get some opportunity, but it's hard. And that's And that's without talking about the targets that go to the running back and to K-Dot. And there is a lot going on in Tampa Bay's offense now. But as you alluded to, situations change. If we get to training camp and Godwin's not 100%, his stock goes through the roof. His stock explodes up just with that report. So let's move on to running back, pick 22nd overall. We did get 2 running backs in round 1, Omarion Hampton. Much discussed, much talked about, player to be inside of round 1. It happened. He lands in LAC, and I'll be honest with you, this felt like a spot that if a running back landed here with Jim Harbaugh, with Greg Roman, people would be no-brainer. 102, sign me up. I've seen more conversation about other running backs ahead of Omarion Hampton than him being locked into the 102 spot. I'm not really getting it. Najee's on a 1-year deal. We know what Najee is, but this team prioritized a running back in round 1 amongst all the other needs that they needed as a Chargers team. I don't even think this is a year 2 play. I don't think it will be very long before this coaching staff sees somebody who's built very similar to Najee Harris with much more juice. Omarion Hampton's 102. I love Travis Hunter. You can make the case for it in certain formats, but I think this is a home run spot, home run player in a home run situation. I'm all in on Omarion Hampton.
Yeah, I put out the tweet today about how I could definitely see the Chargers liking Najee, liking everything that he brings to the table outside of him being a better running back than Omarion Hampton, because he's probably not, right? But that doesn't mean that you don't still draft Omarion Hampton, the profile with this capital. Round 1 running backs, Ray, are the safest bets you could make by far. Safer than quarterback, safer than receiver. Now, when I say safe, people go, okay, well, if I have to spend the 102, then I better get Jonathan Taylor plus. You know what I mean? Like, it's situation a lot of times dictates who scores 21 points per game in a season. There's a chance Hampton may never have one season like that. But I can pretty sure lock in a guy that's going to get a lot of opportunity on an offense that clearly said we're building the offense around him. So whether he becomes an elite running back and he becomes Saquon, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, that's hard to just say that's a lock. You know what I mean? Quinshon Judkins could be that. He could be better than Hampton, and it wouldn't shock me. But that doesn't mean you don't take him with first-round capital. Like, think about his teammate, right? Najee Harris. If I told you you're just going to get Najee Harris's career, people would just shit on that, right? Not good enough, not enough ceiling, but Najee had multiple RB1 seasons, never missed a game, and that's a disappointment. But that's like the absolute floor, I think, because Hampton's got more juice. So I think you just got to take him. If you want to stray or trade back and know you're getting Henderson or Harvey or whatever, sure. But like he belongs in, he's a first-round running back. Right?
And this
Almost
is a good
every
offense. This isn't Pittsburgh's offense. You've got one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. You've got an ascending passing game. This is not the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. So I expect Omarion Hampton to do what he needs to do as a first-round pick. Matthew Golden, player people still don't like, went round 1, pick 23, Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love. Nobody likes him.
I don't love him, but I probably like him almost higher than most creators that we've had on our channel. Everyone's like, don't like him. I mean, I think they were talking yesterday that Jayden Higgins easily over Matthew Golden. And I'm like, okay,
I've got him 7 spots apart. And Golden is ahead of Higgins.
Yeah, right. And I think that's just previous player takes, you know what I mean? Guy they liked, guy they didn't like. I'm the one probably going, okay, he's there at the 201, 202. That's where I'm fine taking a first-round receiver, even if they don't have a great profile. I want you to speak on the exercise you put out there on the draft stream. If we flipped Egbuka and Egbuka and
That's
Golden.
the chat.
Here's what Ray said. If we flipped Egbuka and Golden's landing spot, it would be Golden is absolutely dead because look at the guys ahead of him, right? And Egbuka is the wide receiver 1 on the Packers.
In Green Bay. It would be. Yeah, I think you could have put Luther Burden in Green Bay in round 2, and people would have preferred that over Matthew Golden in round 1. I've got him 13th overall. So if you're saying 201 is where I've got, he's 13th right now in my post-draft rookie ranks, 13th.
Burden on the Bears, even with their crowded receiver room, in the second without Loveland there, easily people would take him over Golden. Wouldn't even care about the capital.
Yes. After Matthew Golden, we had a trade and we got a second quarterback in round 1 at pick 25. Ole Miss's Jackson Dart goes to the Giants.
Ooh. Kind of the falling knife value, but at the end, Ray, he's a first-round quarterback. And I just saw him go at 110 in the draft, 109, 111. I mean, how many times have we seen first-round QBs, and you're willing to sacrifice the pick there at that point? You know what I mean? He's going to get opportunity. You're not scared of the other quarterbacks they have. He's going to be playing at some point this year. If you could have gone back last year and just taken as much Michael Penix and Bo Nix, you would have done it, even if you don't believe in them. Where do they sit right now? Both teams have basically turned the reins over to those guys and said, sink or swim for the next 2 years. I expect the same thing for Jackson Dart, but he already has Malik Neighbors in-house. You know what I mean? He's got a better weapon than almost any first-round quarterback we've seen drafted in the last couple of years. He's already got that weapon there. Other than McCarthy with Jefferson, he's got the best weapon we've seen that a quarterback's come into. So I think he's underpriced, but that speaks to just the flat depth of the class. Like, you have options that you didn't have after, the first couple weeks of the pre-draft season, where you're like, man, I don't know if this is going to go 11, 12 deep. But I think if he's fallen to the late first, you have options.
I've got him ranked 10th overall in my post-draft ranks. I've got him number 10 in Superflex, and I'm looking at a couple of the running backs ahead of him. And depending on my scoring, I may even take him ahead of those guys. So that wraps up.
Let me ask you this real quick before we move on. Yep. How do you evaluate the quote-unquote ceiling for quarterbacks? Because I think it's more than just how many times can they run and how fast is their 40. Doesn't it feel like we're missing a lot of stuff with ceiling in terms of, like, ceiling a lot of times comes with the offensive environment. I
don't dive into that. They're individual as an individual talent. The most ceiling level quarterback in the league is like A-Rich and Lamar. But what does that mean? Right? When you've got all this, you could throw the ball far and you can run. It's situation. It's offensive environment. It's situation. And it's what the offensive coordinator is going to allow the quarterback to do. Just because he's got Neighbors and Wandell and Theo Johnson, they may just say, hey, what you're going to do is hand the ball to Tracy and Cam Scatterboo and get it out to Neighbors quickly. And there may not be a lot of passing volume inside of that offense for a young quarterback coming from a very college football friendly passing attack. And let's not, he's a back-end first-round pick, so I don't expect him to go out there and light it up. But to your point, Michael Penix didn't light it up either. You go out there and show a little something to get people excited for next season, you've got value there at the position. So for me, Jackson Dart is easily a top 10 pick going into super flex drafts. We are into round 2, and we had Jayden Higgins come off of the board at pick 34. Jayden Higgins, 34.
I'm torn on this one, buddy. I think this is people are taking him higher than I'm comfortable with. He's going as clearly like right there with Golden, if not higher. He's going at the end of the first, early second.
Wow.
Like he's in that clear tier where it's like people definitely taking him over a lot of the round 4 running backs. You know what I mean? Which from a positional value standpoint, I get it. It's a scarcity thing. There's only, there was only 6 receivers drafted in the top 50. So if you want a receiver, and he's got a good quarterback, right? He's got a quarterback.
Absolutely.
And an offense that we've seen produce multiple receivers before. So if you're willing to bet on him just being better than everything they have and being able to outlast what they currently have, then I see it. I want to lean on you when we talk about him and talk about Noel. Like, I know you liked Noel better than Higgins. It's interesting because you're evaluating their landing spot, their situation, their offense, their quarterback, and their damn college. The same, it's easy to compare the two, right? Everything's the same. Like, how do you really feel about him now that what you know they have?
Here's what I did. They're back-to-back in my post-draft ranks, and they're not back-end first-round picks. I got them 20 and 21. Schematically, I don't think they do the same thing. And if Higgins is going to occupy the flanker Z role while Nico Collins is the X, and if, there's a bunch of ifs. I know Christian Kirk is there, but if the plan is to develop Jalen Noel as the field-stretching slot receiver and use him in a similar fashion that Tank Dell was used, I would prefer Noel over Higgins. I've not seen this offense really operate with 2 downfield options, big wide receivers like that. I'm curious to see how this plays out with Christian Kirk and 2 guys from the same school in back-to-back rounds. They were both day 2 picks. And when you get into camp, I don't think they're going to be like, okay, you were the second round pick, so you like go get it. And this is two guys from the same school. You go look at what they did at Iowa State. I prefer Jalen Knowles still to Jayden Higgins. And for that, they're both a little lower down my ranks because I did have Knowles rated higher than Higgins. I would just rather somebody else make this pick other than me.
With what you're saying, tracks with KTC's got ADP of Higgins 203, Knowles 212.
Yep.
And they got Higgins ahead of Scattaboo, Harris. You know what I mean? Like it seems
I've
like
got Harris and
the
Scattaboo ahead of him. I've got Harris, Scattaboo, and a couple other running backs and some tight ends ahead of him. And it's not slight and disrespect to Jayden Higgins. He's still in my second round rookie pick category and tier. He's just a little lower down. But let's move on to Quinshon Judkins. Quinshon Judkins, everybody was excited. The Browns drafted him with the pick that they received from the Travis Hunter trade, so the top of the second round. He goes to Cleveland, and I mean, honestly, we could just talk about he and Dylan Sampson together. Can we just, there's no point to go Quinshon and then wait. Let's talk about Quinshon knowing that Dylan Sampson is there.
Yeah, it's weird because like Quinshon was moved all the way up. I think we took him as our consensus RB4 off the board. Actually, it was RB3 on the mock draft after Friday night. And then they take Sampson and people panic, and now it's clearly Judkins. Hell, I've seen Judkins below Henderson, Harvey, and Kaleb. And it's simply because they drafted another running back. I get it. They invested a 4th-round pick in Sampson. Let me ask you this, Ray. How is this any different than a team that already had 2 running backs on the team drafting one in the 3rd round, 4th round? You know what I mean? Like they basically just said, we don't really want Jerome Ford occupying probably much of a role on offense.
Right.
So we drafted our starter and our backup that's going to form our A and B committee.
Right.
And we just have a problem evaluating it because it's 2 rookies. You know what I mean? We see, well, of course, everybody had a starter before the draft because you had to have somebody there. But this tells me they're building a whole new backfield.
Yes.
And I don't think you necessarily say Judkins should move down because they drafted another guy when maybe just other teams felt more comfortable with the guy that they had already. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think he should be moved down to RB6 just because they drafted another guy in the 4th. Just my opinion. So I'm fine with them. I think if you liked him higher, you don't move him down too far.
Well, I mean, whether he's RB6 or 5, aren't these guys coming off of the board literally back to back? So
top 7 pick, it goes in whatever order your league prefers.
It's irrelevant. Put him at 5. Put him at, he's 6 for me, and he's still off the board inside the top 10. I do think it impacts him to a degree. I do. And you can look at Quinshon's profile, and he is not the type of guy that you're going to say he's this dynamic 3-down, throw it to him in space. I'm not even saying Sampson is that, but they felt strong enough about Dylan Sampson and about how good he is that they took him at the top of the 4th round after spending a high 2nd round pick on Judkins. I think both of these guys could thrive together. It's not a one or the other, but in my opinion, until I see the efficiency from the offense, which will be driven by the quarterback as well, it's hard for me to just be like, he'll get his, and I've got to see how that works out. If he's going to get a slice of this RB1 pie taken away from him, then I just want to see the efficiency of the offense. And today, I would rather bank on a couple of other players and let that situation develop and play out and then make a bet. I just don't want to I'm not confident enough to, first of all, to trust the Browns know what the hell they're doing in the first place. But the fact that they took 2 very talented backs, within monetary range of one another, I want to see this one play out a little bit. Judkins is still a dope running back. He's a top 10 guy for me in the class. I'm going to draft him. But Sampson absolutely impacts this situation to some degree. What degree? I don't know. But to some degree, absolutely.
Yeah, I think the takeaway is, for me personally, I'm more interested in Judkins. I play in a lot of leagues where there's like running back point per carry, that type of thing. I'm a little more interested there.
Cool.
But I also don't think you should be afraid to go back a spot or two knowing, man, I'm going to miss out on Henderson, but I'm only going to get Judkins. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, be okay using that tier to your advantage. Don't be scared off that you have to get one or the other because Sampson is there. But I kind of agree with you. If you want to push him to the bottom,
It's
Sure.
not, but again, it's not even, they're going back to back to back. So
Eh,
it's truly
People care
whatever
about
you
these picks, right?
prefer.
Half these questions are, man, I'm at the 104. I'm getting offered this to move back to the 106. And
Do
it's
it.
like, should I do it? And I'm like, really, it
Do
comes
it.
down to, are you getting anything better?
Do it.
And if the answer is no, but your gut feeling is, I don't want to take Quinshon Judkins, then don't. It's your team. You
It's
know what I mean?
It ain't even, for me, it's not about not wanting to do it. They're all right there. So if you're going to give me something to move back and I get one of Henderson, Judkins, Johnson, Harvey, I'm good. Like, I'm good.
Yep.
I mean that with every fiber in my body. And anybody out there that thinks they can tell you unequivocally which situation is going to work out better, because Kaleb Johnson has thorns in his path as well, with Jaylen Warren being there, okay? TreVeyon Henderson does as well. As bad as you think that Ramondre is, he's an NFL running back, and I bet you he carries the ball. So none of these guys are just ironclad Ashton Jeantys. There's only one of those guys here. So TreVeyon goes at pick 38 to the Patriots. TreVeyon Henderson to the Patriots. Thoughts?
Ooh.
This one has been a hard one for me. It feels like it should be very easy, and I've got him ranked very aggressively, but I don't know.
It's just been, this is when these guys were drafted back to back. Remember on the draft stream when we were like, damn, the Patriots got sniped. They wanted Quinshon.
Yeah.
Remember? And then it came out that Henderson really never talked to anybody.
Didn't even talk to him.
He had one like 30-minute Zoom call with a staff member or something like that I saw. And then nothing else, but he got picked there. And then all weekend, I've seen that clip. Have you seen the clip between, was it Joel Klatt and Jeremiah? Did you see that?
I have not. No.
So Joel Klatt had Jeremiah on his pod, and he gave Jeremiah homework. He said, we're each going to write down one thing about a prospect that we cannot leave this episode without talking to each other about.
Okay.
And they revealed it at the end. And it was both how amazing TreVeyon Henderson's pass protection is. And they like had this like weird moment where they looked at each other like, no way, you wrote down that same thing. People see that kind of thing though, and it's just like, they think this guy's not coming off the field, right? Ever. He could do everything. And even if he comes off the field, it's never going to be on third down where all of the good stuff happens. So it feels like he has been steamed up. Hell, I'm in a point per carry league. I took him this morning at 104 ahead of Travis Hunter. Now it's point per carry, but the point was I debated and I'm like, based on the scoring, he's in that tier with Hunter, Tet, and Hampton, I guess is the takeaway. He wasn't in that tier. We never thought he'd get into that tier on Thursday night. And then this landing spot is really warmed up. So I'm buying in. Buying in.
I'm not as bullish as you, but again, they're literally back to back to back to back. So I've got another running back ahead of him. Luther Burden goes 39th overall to the Bears. I get it offensively, and I honestly think he's probably going to be used very creatively. I was messaging with Mike Renner. I was like, I can't wait to see him in the backfield, option routes, things from the slot. He's going to play slot because he's a damn slot. I don't know why we go through this every single process when you've got slot receivers and people want to try to like go out on a limb and be like he could play on the outside. Gets drafted by the Bears. You know where he's going to play, in the fucking slot. Exactly where he played at Missouri. I like the spot. I think this is a good NFL pick. He's going to make exciting plays. That upside that people talk about, the usage, I just don't see it. They've got a bunch of running backs. They've got multiple tight ends. They got a bunch of receivers. I like Luther Burden, but this spot is not the best as far as when I'm trying to think about usage and how he's going to be deployed in the offense. Very fun NFL-wise, and I can't wait to watch it on Sundays, but plugging him into a lineup and saying, start me, Luther Burden, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm warming up on this one too. I mean, here's my case. We had a comment earlier. Someone asked us what ADV was. Artificial dynasty value. So when we say that 20 times throughout this show, it's basically what goes into the likability, the sentiment, what other people will do if a certain outcome happens. He's in the second round, right? He's right there back-to-back with Jayden Higgins. And I think he offers quite a bit more ADV based on the pre-draft evaluations, right? Like you may be right about how he's going to be used, but there's a scenario where he's more than that. You know what I mean?
How?
Quicker than people expected. You know, I'm not technically sound
I'm
enough.
just
To
no,
tell
no,
you
no.
how,
Just
but
how?
I'm saying
How does that
it is
happen?
built. It is built into the name Luther Burden that he is going in beginning of the second round. So I'm not saying I'm buying in, but what I am saying is that there's still the ADV attached, and there's a little bit of an excuse now, just like Egbuka.
If we just go off if we just go off of draft capital from the last 12 months, what pecking order would he be in? Just based off of pass catching draft capital on Chicago. Third, behind Rome Odunze and Colston Loveland. And then you still have to insert DJ Moore. They're going to run the ball. You've got a quarterback who is not Jared Goff, right? Kaleb Williams, he's going to run around, correct? He's going to have 300-400 rushing yards. How? Like, just how does it happen absent an injury?
I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm just making the point that I would rather
I got him 19th. I got him 19th. I got all these damn running backs ahead of him. Like, these second round receivers in very crowded rooms with very ambiguous quarterbacks that we know nothing about feel extremely risky to me. Extremely risky.
Fair.
Versus,
Fair.
I don't care what Cam Scatterbull or Bashel Tutin's long-term future is in the NFL. A pathway to just carrying the ball is much clearer to me, in my opinion. But we can't spend all day on Luther Burden. Tyler Shough at 40.
I don't got a lot of thoughts. Obviously, I'm
not. I'm going to make you talk about this pick.
Because
I think we have to. I think we have to. I don't have a lot to say.
Okay.
Shough, but I think we have to.
Here's my analysis. He's a second-round quarterback. They invested capital in him that they're going to give him a shot. I said this on the draft stream. He's going to get a window. None of us know what that window looks like. None of us know how good of a window the Saints starting quarterback even matters. Yeah. You know what I mean? So he's going to have a window. He's going to get opportunity to start this year. I'm not banking that it's going to be week one. So if you're investing in him going, I'm going to have a week one starter, I don't think that's the right play. But he's going to get a chance. They're not going to go, well, we're going to sit him on the bench all year, still suck with our other backup quarterbacks, and then replace Tyler Shough next year. He's going to get a window. It's usually half a season or more. Best case scenario, Ray, he gets the Drew Lock treatment, the Davis Mills treatment, the Will Levis treatment, where they're not shitty enough to give him a second year. But ultimately, there's a reason that you look around at the starter quarterbacks in the NFL right now. It's first rounders, and then it's I found a needle in a haystack, Dak, Russell Wilson, Brock Purdy. You know what I mean? Rarely does the second rounder who slipped on draft day or didn't quite make the first round become the long-term starter. So just understand that, know what you're drafting, have a plan. But I see people drafted him. I mean, Shane took him on a mock at 201. At that point, you're basically paying a first. And what's the plan? Do you know what I mean? Like, you just have to have a plan.
I want to just address this comment real quick. Good comment from Watch Out from my boy. He said, what about all Ben Johnson's comments about the wide receiver room and lack of effort on routes and blocking? I think DJ Moore is not long for this team. We'll see Burden over DJ Moore in a year. I talked about DJ Moore looking real bad last year as well, but he's still there. My question to you, Scott, is what happens to first-round receivers who really don't do much in year one going into year two? What happens to those guys? What happened to JSN? What happens to
first-round receivers that people like or don't like?
People like JSN, and after year one, he go look at his KTC value and where it fell to after year one.
But it held to where you still had half the community.
That's not my point. My point is you could have bought JSN at any point you wanted to. That's my point. That is my bigger point.
That's why the likability between Golden and Egbuka is big. Because what happened to Quinshon Judkins after year one, right?
Oh, because people didn't like him going in.
Gone that high, gone. So
if DJ Moore does stink it up, but there's other things happening in this offense, right? Luther Burden doesn't play that much, doesn't have as big as yards, but Rome Odunze explodes, and he balls out, and people are viewing him in a similar light, if not more than what they are JSN. I'm telling you right now, the appetite and thirst will not warrant a high second-round pick on Burden. Unless you're telling me you've got a plan where you could flip him right now immediately. If your plan is I'm going to hold him and just wait for the outcome, like that's crazy, man. Not holding no second-round receiver for 12 months for him to potentially be something I can trade and get a second for. I'm not doing that. Have a plan, and I think he's a really good player. Mason Taylor at 42. Mason Taylor goes off the board of the Jets at 42. And we might as well talk about Terrance Ferguson, who
And
went
Arroyo.
46th.
All
And
three.
Arroyo, who went 50. So 3 tight ends off of the board within 8 picks of one another. Mason Taylor to the Jets, Terrance Ferguson to the Rams, who traded up to get Terrance Ferguson, or was this part of the trade package that they had earlier with Titans? Might have,
No, I
with
think
the
they moved
Texans.
up. I think they moved up a spot or two to get
I think they
Ferguson.
moved up to get Ferg too. And
Yes.
then Arroyo at 50 to the Seahawks. So talk about those 3 tight ends who, for the most part, were in the range of being tight end 3, 4, maybe Ferguson a little higher than people thought, but 3 decent landing spots. I'll give you the floor. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you how I see them, but it's definitely not the consensus. And we actually polled the voice chat the other night, 8 people, and everybody had them in different orders. There was people that had all 3 of them 1, all 3 of them 2, all 3 of them 3. So, like, for me, I'm still going to lean Mason Taylor over the other 2.
Me too.
I would go Ferguson second, and I would go Arroyo third. But I think Taylor's the one that day one is on the field with the chance to be there, the most opportunity and most usage in year 1. But I think people are dinging him because, well, he's got Justin Fields, and it's going to be a run-first offense. But what's the realistic expectation for a rookie tight end, Ray? A rookie tight end.
Not much. Show me some promise. Get on the field and show me you can
exactly.
play.
And see, I use the correlation, and I'm going to give this to the chat right now. There's another second-round tight end that didn't get on the field much, but had a pretty good second year. And currently, you could not trade for anything close to the rights to draft these 3. Any idea who I'm thinking about? And the team just signaled they're clearing out the room for him. Nobody's interested. Brenton Strange. Now, if you told me 2 of these 3 end up where Brenton Strange is in year 3, where they've cleared out the room and he's the clear starter, wouldn't that be a decent outcome for these guys?
Yeah, hell yeah.
And yet the thought of what can I trade Brenton Strange for right now, you couldn't trade into your draft to take somebody in or around where these 3 are going. So
with Brenton Strange,
that as everyone loves to take the swing at the rookie tight end and go, well, I think Terrance Ferguson could be the next Kittle. And he's got Matt Stafford and Sean McVay. It's like, I get it. He may get an opportunity to do something this year, but I'm not tying Terrance Ferguson's outcome to Matthew Stafford. You know what I mean? It's probably not that short of a term hit. And Seattle's tough too. I mean, Fant and Barner are going to play.
Yep.
So what do you expect? Like, what's your expectations for these guys? Because I think you like all 3.
I do.
You can't be. I asked 2 people and I said, what are realistic outcomes? Somebody said 60 catches and 700 yards. I'm like, dude, that's like a top 10 season.
I'm going to be very honest with you, man, because Arroyo's probably not one you want hand in dirt, so he's not going to overtake one of those guys. He's probably not what you want to do with him. I wouldn't be shocked if you look up and he had like 20 catches on the season. And I'd be like, okay, like Noah Fant and Barner were there. He had 20 receptions. Hopefully a few were explosive. Ferguson, I mean, the tight ends aren't very good, right? So I expect him to get on the field and make some plays, and probably because of the team he's on and how they schematically play, he will look good in that's the one who will rise. If Ferguson's out there running around catching passes early, people will want him. That will be the one that can, if you're going to take a wild shot for some ROI quickly, it's Ferg. And I do think Mason Taylor's he's going to be, I put in my notes on him today, you're going to look up and be like, this dude's just like the next Hunter Henry. Just a solid, good tight end that does everything well, maybe nothing great, but I do think that he's got a chance to play early. I thought it was a really good pick by the Jets. But we got to get to a player that a lot of people think should be in round 1. I was having a conversation with my boy D-Bro today, and we were talking about where to rank Tre Harris and how high should we have Tre Harris. He was selected 55th overall to a team that we thought might take a wide receiver in round 1 to the Chargers. Tre Harris to the Chargers, Scott.
Man, I saw Debo's tweet earlier about Tre Harris. I think was it Tre Harris to the moon? Something like that.
D-Bro's got about 99,000 players on the moon right now, so probably. But I agree with him that this is a dope landing spot. I'm not long-term scared about Quinshon Judkins. Yes, Mike Williams is there, but if he can seize that field stretching role, which he did very well at Ole Miss, in conjunction with Ladd McConkey, like this. How could we want our wide receivers tethered to good quarterbacks, and he does things that Ladd doesn't do. I've got Tre Harris ranked, I feel, appropriately right now.
Where do you got him?
I got him 18th. I still have some running backs from round 4 ahead of him.
Okay.
I've got him 18th right now. Where's everybody have him?
And this is, well, everyone's responded. I'm curious if anybody has him higher than that 206 that Ray does. This is the profile that trips me up. All right. Like, it's a guy that probably went right around where he should have in the draft. It wasn't like he outperformed his draft capital or he fell a ton, but he's right on that threshold, Ray. But I think when you have those guys right on the threshold, you don't have to tell the full story for Tre Harris, but you have to tell a story, and the landing spot and the quarterback helps. So I think this is one where the way that I play, I would typically be a little lower than the market, which means somebody's always going to go, man, let me trade into that 202, 203 to get Tre Harris. And I'm sitting here going, please let Scattaboo fall to me. You know what I mean? I'm looking at a thing, but I don't know. Do I have a blind spot on Tre Harris a little bit? I know a lot of people like him, and they like.
What about it? Don't you? What do you mean the blind spot? What about it? If your blind spot is just the arbitrary cutoff line number, then I will say yes. You need to adjust. Okay, he was picked 55th, man. It's not like it was the end of the round. Like, this was, the Chargers have a lot of holes on this team, a lot of holes, and they prioritized offense with their first 2 picks. So, and they sat there and they caught him. They didn't have to trade up to get him. They got a very good player here that I think it's a little bit, if it's the number, then I would say, yeah, probably a little bit of a blind spot. But I also don't think that it's crazy for you to want one of the running backs over him. I don't think that's wild either, because I do not believe, and I told Debro this, he's not walking into that training camp and they're saying, you're the number 2 wide receiver, go get it. Like, that's not happening. It's just not. Right. He might develop into that at some point. And I think, to your point, well, then I could just buy that receiver. I can go trade for that profile of a guy elsewhere. Give me something that might mature a little faster. So, blind spot, but I don't think you're crazy for feeling the way you do. But if he does hit and he does occupy a role, and go look at the Trinity score of Quinshon Judkins last year. Think if QJ just didn't have butter fingers and actually caught some of the passes that were right in his hands for touchdowns, for big plays. Just flip-flop Quinshon Judkins with Tre Harris, and people would be like, oh, yeah. If he could seize that role. That's my thoughts on him. And that's why he's a mid-second round pick for me.
Yeah, and honestly, what separates those guys that do, even if they don't hit like to a huge degree, but they're clearly good, you know what a lot of times separates how high that player goes? Whether people like them beforehand and people like the team and the quarterback. And I think both those things he does have in his favor. So maybe I have to do a little more thinking about the spots where maybe I can get him, because I probably didn't plan on having much, because a lot of people like him at the front of the second round.
He does, and Scott, he's playing with Ladd and Herbert. Ladd's the one. The attention and the focus is on Ladd McConkey. You know who else the attention and focus should be on? The running game with Najee Harris and first-round pick Omarion Hampton. Tre Harris will see one-on-one opportunity on the outside. He is very good down the field, and after I just think this is a spot where it can work. I do not believe he is QJ, so if he could replace that, that should be a good role. This is a player I'm struggling with very much so, because I liked him. I thought he would be a second-round pick. He was a second-round pick. He goes to the Las Vegas Raiders with a quarterback who throws the ball 600-plus times, new offensive regime, new situation. But what do you do with Jack Besh? I don't know what to do. I probably have him much lower than I need to, but I don't know what to do. And people think we're crazy because every mock, he's like late third-round pick, mid-third-round pick. I don't know what to do with Jack Besh in Las Vegas.
Where you think KTC's got him? Current ADP. Take a gander.
Like, is this ADP overall, like all the wide receivers?
It's just their updated tiers or ranks. So basically, like, it's already been moving over the weekend.
Outside the top 70.
No.
Are you rookie higher. Or that's rookie or all?
Rookies. So equate it with a 12 team.
Rookies are
12 team super flex. 12-team Superflex. Equate it to picks.
24.
Higher.
30.
22. Or no, 20. So 208.
Like lower. Like low. 20th rookie?
208. Yep. Ahead of, well, nothing shocking that he's ahead of, but he's ahead of Tootin. He's right there with Tre Harris, Jalen Milroe. So, I mean, but then again, I'm sitting here thinking the case you made for Tre Harris, can you make a similar case to Jack Bech? And just Brock Bowers is the Lad McConkey? I mean, I know we don't think of Geno Smith like Justin Herbert, but his historical numbers for being able to support weapons isn't bad. Running offense, I mean,
I think
I don't know what to do with them.
For me,
we buried him on the mock the other night, right? Third round, and people hated us.
This is where I will just be on an opposite end of the fantasy community. I didn't have him rated that high to begin with, right? So just on-field play and my perception of his ability to go out there and be a 1 or a 2, I never viewed him like that. He felt like a great number 3 option for a team. A good guy, a guy that's going to come in, do all this stuff. I've got him much lower. So maybe this is my blind spot. Maybe you're right. Maybe this is just Lad McConkey and Tre Harris, but it doesn't feel like that to me. So I've got him a little bit lower. But let's move on to one of the most discussed names right now throughout early rookie draft processes. R.J. Harvey of the Denver Broncos, second-round running back, goes to Denver with Sean Payton into the second round. R.J. Harvey has exploded for me in my ranks. I am very excited. I had him high pre-draft. Never thought he would get this type of capital, but not only did he get this capital, Denver didn't double dip. Like they weren't going out and drafting other running backs in round 4 like Cleveland did. It's a good team. It's a good player with the rainmaker of running backs who told us all process, I'm getting a guy. We're going to draft a running back, and he went out and, goddamn, he drafted R.J. Harvey. I am very much in on this player. Harvey was second in the country in explosive runs, only behind Ashton Jeanty last year. I don't care how old he is. For the next 2 years, if I'm getting good production out of him, I could care less about what he does after that.
Yeah, I can't argue with you. I know a lot of people didn't expect him to be the RB5 off the board. Not even RB6, but RB5.
Yeah,
so
5.
They're still wrapping their head around, he didn't. A lot of these models now, which are cool, but they also factor in like expected draft capital or like the mocked draft capital versus what actually happened. And then there's a delta between the two. And then that formula is put into the profile. And so he grades out for a lot of people still lower than Judkins, lower than Henderson, lower than Kaleb Johnson. But I'm kind of with you. Like I was listening to a show today. I heard the comp, like, the Darren Sproles comp, you know what I mean? A lot of people watching don't remember that because that was 20 years ago. But like, I can kind of see it, right? You played some fantasy when Darren Sproles was there, right, Ray?
Yeah, but he's not like, Sproles.
But point is,
I'm just saying, whoever said that, delete that podcast, okay? Just letting you know, just delete it. Whoever said that, delete it.
It's not comparing the two players per se. It's just thinking about it because everyone, of course, is going to gravitate towards, okay, what smaller, compact running back has smashed before? Because
Pierre Thomas, Mark Ingram, everybody.
Mark Ingram's another good one.
Mark Ingram's another good one. Thomas, Reggie Bush, Darren, whoever he has is good. Whoever he has is good.
And that's all you need to know with what you said. You don't care about the future. It's give me a 2-year runway, right?
That's all I want.
I'll live with the pick. Yep, I agree.
I mean, that's it. And Sean Payton talked about needing a running back, and this is the guy he had, and he could have taken Kaleb Johnson. He could have taken Cam Scatterbo. Could have taken any of those guys, and he said, give me R.J. Harvey, and the player is good. He is very good. All right, that rounds out round 2. R.J. Harvey to the Denver Broncos. Let's move on to round 3. And actually, before we get to round 3, Scott, we're going to go on a little break. We're going to take a quick break, so we need everybody to run the likes up over here on the stream. We'll run those likes up. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll get right back and finish out rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. No, you can't wait to get to those picks. Let's go. Welcome in, everybody, for another stream over here on Bleacher Report, NFL Daily. You can find Jay Rich and I every single week here on this app.
The moment I say it, they'll say, oh, yuck. And it's got to be Najee Harris, right?
That world is in an alternate timeline somewhere in the multiverse. It ain't here on Earth 616 or whatever. It ain't here. Jay Rich and I are on every single Thursday, 7 p.m. All right, let's get it. This is Destination Chill. That is a promo. Jay Rich and I are on Bleacher Report every single Thursday. We are back this week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you subscribe to us over there. We're on the main channel and on the Bleacher Report app. Scott, round 3. You ready to get to it, baby?
Yeah, just speaking of RJ Harvey, I like that comp in the chat. The
What's
Ricky
the comp?
one.
I didn't see it. What's the
Giovanni Bernard. That's an interesting one. I like that one a little bit.
Yeah, that one, I don't want him to be I want him to be a little better than that. But yes,
Oh.
I get it. I want him to be a little better than that, but I got you. Harold Fannin Jr. off of the board, top of the third round. Quickly, Scott, third round tight end Harold Fannin in a wild situation in Cleveland.
I think it's an inferior situation to the other 3 tight ends we talked about.
So do I.
But I also think he has he's got the allure from somebody in your league more so than those other 3.
Okay.
But I've seen a couple, the ridiculous takes are means Njoku's dead. He's the new slot. I mean,
okay. No.
Talk about it from an NFL perspective that he does nothing similar to Njoku. He's probably more struggling to take targets from he's not operating more against Jerry Jeudy, but I mean, that's a joke to say that year one, it's even close, right?
He is zero threat to David Njoku's standard usage tight end work because he's not even close to his size or physical ability to do the things that Njoku can do. This is I hope he can develop into that H-back type of position, but I would prefer.
Are you just out for fantasy?
Oh yeah, he's
tough?
the one I'll buy later. Like if he develops down the line, you know how easy it is to buy tight ends in Dynasty that aren't the elite guys. I'm good on. I've got Harold Fannin ranked outside of the top 30. I'm looking at right now, maybe even lower than that. I actually think he's outside of the top. He's outside of my top 40. Outside of tight end premium, and this is the way I rank is not tight end premium because a lot of people don't do that. But I've got in a regular PPR league, half PPR, zero interest outside of round 4. I'm good on Harold Fannin. Kyle Williams at pick 69, Washington State wide receiver, goes to the Patriots. Scott?
Yeah, this is another one where I think there's a lot of ADV attached to Kyle Williams. He got a lot of steam pre-draft. He went higher than people expected. He went to a spot where, honestly, would it shock you if you look up and he's one of the guys that has one of the best Trinity scores second half of the year?
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. I like him.
I'm curious where you have him because right now he's still a little down. Like sometimes it takes these guys a little bit of time to bump up in
27.
minds because
I got him 27.
Yeah.
I got him higher than Jack Besh.
And you can get him higher. You can get him lower than that in some leagues because he's still buried on like sleepers ADP. You know what I mean? Like people just kind of, he's out of mind until the right combination of creators go, oh my God, this guy's a 10th round underdog pick. I got to get him,
Here's what I wrote up about him. My little write-up and blurb, I said with Diggs there, Diggs is the number one, no doubt. But he's also old, coming off of an ACL surgery. And what I put in the write-up, I said, if he can get through social media legend Javon Baker, second-round pick Jalen Polk, and Pop Douglas, this could be an exciting role in the future. That's what I have for Kyle Williams. I do think that he'll have some camp hurdles that he needs to get around, but it also wouldn't shock me if we get to week 1, the New England Patriots roll out Stephon Diggs, Pop Douglas, and Kyle Williams in 3 wide receiver sets. Not saying he'd lead the team in anything, but it wouldn't shock me if he's as good as people think he is for him to carve out some opportunity in year 1 on a team that needed to take a receiver. Some people thought as high as potentially pick 4. So Kyle Williams, 69th off the board to the New England Patriots at 70. The Detroit Lions, and I believe they traded up to get this player, Isaac TeSlaa out of Arkansas. And I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't even have him in the thing. I didn't watch him on tape. He's ungraded. in old GQ's thing. So I've got to go do some, because I just didn't think he'd get drafted this high. I was just like, no way. And he did. A lot of people said he shouldn't have, but I didn't lie to the people who pay for my service. He's not in there. I've got to watch some TeSlaa this week. Think about this landing spot, but off of the rip, I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Off the rip, the answer is no, because at best, I think he's the 5th passing option behind Laporta, J-Mo, Amon-Ra, and Jahmyr Gibbs. So off the initial just player and landing spot for fantasy football, I need to go watch some film because I've got little interest.
Yeah, I think the only thing he has going for him is the draft capital, and the athleticism is probably why he got the draft capital. But he has no production. None.
I know.
At almost any place he was at. Like, not, you know what I mean? Like, it's really hard, even if he's an athletic freak that everybody missed, which that seems to be what got him drafted here. Like, he has no production. You know what I mean? Not even, I can't even squint and find 1 or 2 things where you go, oh, okay, he did that, and if he would have been used this way, etc. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just hard to see the path, and we don't even know how the Lions. I'm curious. This will be one of the guys I'm curious to hear what kind of some of the coach speak is. I haven't seen any of it, but just curious if they drop any hints as to how they plan to use him. You know what I mean? Because it feels like they have to have a plan in the 3rd round, but I mean, hell, he's on waivers in our pipeline league. Damn waivers. Like, how much do you spend? You blow half your fab on TeSlaa, right? I mean, he's a 3rd round pick.
Oh, no. I mean, isn't he outside? Isn't he outside of the threshold and the pathway to? No.
Well, it's best ball.
The answer is no.
It's best ball.
The answer, no. No.
Ray's not putting in a bid for that TeSlaa.
I'm good. Pat Bryant, 74th overall to the Broncos. Talk about this one. I heard you talking a little bit about Pat Bryant in the Discord. Like, there's a lot of these kind of guys. I got to see him. He didn't move me in any type of way, but I can't pray. Sean Payton drafts him. So what do we do here?
I mean, he drafted Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims too. And we told the same story for them the last 2 years. That doesn't mean he can't be different, but I don't think I'm attaching Sean Payton handpicked him in the 3rd to that means he's
I
think he might be good for them, but doesn't it feel like they've taken the approach of they're fine with just a rotation of 5 or 6
spray
guys?
And pray. Doesn't matter. Mims will have 3 weeks. Vele will have 2 weeks. Troy Franklin will have a week. I'll say this. The Pat Bryant drafting, it makes everything that Denver did makes me feel better about Evan Ingram. And I'll leave it at that. Everything Denver did / did not do makes me feel better about Evan Ingram's role in this offense.
Hey, let me ask you this, because we haven't got to him, but we can cover him now. Would you consider how many receivers below Pat Bryant that you would consider have more ADV? Like Jalen Milroe, clearly.
Absolutely.
Savion Williams, you could tell yourself a story. You'd rather have him if he gets the running back. You'd rather have that.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, and continue. We'll get to those guys when we get to them.
I can almost sell you on a story from a UDFA over Pat Bryant right now, just from an ADV perspective, and I'm not even bullshitting you. I can almost
Alec Manor more ADV in Tennessee than Pat Bryant.
I think Xavier Restrepo's ADV and Cam Ward going out there and hand-picking his guy who helped get him to be the number 1 overall pick, I bet you he might have more ADV than Pat Bryant, honestly. I looked him up and people didn't know he was a real football player. Like, did Denver draft a creative player? Had no clue who he was. And that's no slight on Pat Bryant, but who the hell is watching Illinois on Saturday? Who? Could you name... Could anybody name 2 teams they played? I mean, no, it's ADV. No one cares about Pat Bryant. They just don't. They care about Jalen Milroe. We talked about him already a little bit, so let's go ahead and move on to the big dog. Kaleb Johnson, not Caleb Williams. Kaleb Johnson, 83rd overall, running back out of Iowa, goes to Pittsburgh. Scott?
I mean, we kind of already talked about all the other running backs, Judkins, Henderson, Harvey, Kaleb, all in the same tier. I think you can tell stories about, going back, you remember Barry Foster, Jerome Bettis. Like, This feels like the next pounder for the Steelers. We don't know what his ceiling's going to be. We don't know if he gets a second contract, but Willie Parker, Rashad Mendenhall, it just feels like he's the next guy. He's going to get plenty of opportunity if he holds
Le'Veon
up. I'm
Bell.
not really worried
I'm
about,
just going to tell. I've seen
Le'Veon. Yep.
I've seen more Le'Veon Bell, Kaleb Johnson comparisons than I probably would like to see, but that just lets you know the ADV and the sentiment around this player staying in black and gold. He was tailor-made to be a Steeler. What does that mean? Because if he would have went to Denver, people would be like, oh, man, what a great fit. But the ADV around Kaleb Johnson in Pittsburgh, fever pitch, man. Fever pitch. And he does something different than Jaylen Warren. He can bang between the tackles, and he's different than Kenneth Gainwell. So Kaleb Johnson, good spot for him. He is a top 10 guy for me in my ranks for sure. Savion Williams goes 87th overall to the Green Bay Packers. Savion Williams, I'll just say this, I'm just praying that he gets that Ty Montgomery dual role eligibility. Play him at running. If they announce that he's going to be working out with the running backs and doing running back shit and gets to do a little bit of wide receiver stuff, I'm far more interested. Far more interested.
I just saw this a little bit ago. So Brian Gutekunst, right, who drafted Savion Williams in round 3. 4 of the last 6 drafts, you know what he's drafted in round 3? Guys that play multiple positions.
Okay.
It's interesting. He drafted Amari Rodgers, right? Wide receiver, running back.
Okay.
You remember Josiah DeGuara, tight end, fullback?
Oh, yeah.
And Jay Sternberger, tight end, fullback. Not saying that means Savion Williams is
that doesn't make me feel good, but okay.
But it seems like, I mean, that's interesting that they have a history of drafting these hybrid guys, not in round 1, round 2, but like we get to day 2, late day 2, early day 3. Yeah, sure. We'll take a shot on that guy. See if we can use him as a chess piece. We don't love that for fantasy. And I agree. He needs to get running back eligibility. If he's a receiver, then, skip over him and no one will want him, only if he's a running back.
All right, let's continue to move down the board because people will want this player, somebody that you talked about a lot throughout the process. He got 3rd round capital here, Jalen Milroe to Seattle.
Man, I was higher on him when he got drafted, but I'm starting to really kind of think through this a little bit more. Like, we talked about it on the draft stream a little bit, right? Like, if he's not guaranteed opportunity, you agree with that? Like, he's seen as a project. So
absolutely,
it isn't like if the quarterback goes down,
the third quarterback on the team.
Right. It's not like if the backup is going to get the first crack if the starter gets injured, it's Jalen Milroe. So I don't know, man. I think he's going way too high. He's going in the mid-second for people.
Ooh,
because
I don't have him that high.
Yeah, well, all you can see is what's the bet on the odds that he gets opportunity in the first 2 years. I'm talking like a string of 3 or 4 starts. If you think that's 50% or higher, I could justify a 2nd round pick, right? Because probably what you're potentially getting, not just in those starts, but on the market, could be more than you're paying. But let sometimes opportunity for quarterback, Ray, is random. The random high ankle sprain in week 2.
Yeah.
It's not Jalen Milroe if it's week 2. We agree, right? It's going to be Drew Lock. So
it's Drew Lock.
He needs the luck for the opportunity to happen at the right time for him to even get the opportunity to play. And then you got to go in and put in the work to either use him or trade him. And people are taking him at the 206, 207, 208. And this feels like a guy that if he does become the next Jalen Hurts or Jordan Love, you can wait till the dip.
Yes.
You can wait till he's the roster clogger and get him thrown into a deal next offseason if you really think he has that in his range of outcomes. I'm not paying a rookie pick where he's going.
I've got some takes too. I agree with you. I got him 24th. I got him at the back of the 2nd right now. I literally just have him at 24 in my ranks right now. So we're going to discuss right now the Cleveland Browns quarterback room. Dillon Gabriel goes off of the board much sooner than the 2nd quarterback that they drafted. Top 100 pick, Dillon Gabriel to the Cleveland Browns, and 5th round pick, Shedeur Sanders. We're going to talk about both right now. I just want to focus on your opinions and thoughts from a fantasy perspective with these guys. Not where just whatever fantasy perspective is what I'm curious in.
Am I crazy to think that the Browns actually did something fairly smart with this in terms of like, all we do is shit on teams that don't have quarterbacks and say they should just take multiple cracks? The Browns took multiple cracks. You know what I mean? Like, nothing invested in these two tells me they can't run it back next year with that extra pick that they have. I'll just lay it out like this.
I want to know. I don't care about how smart you think they are. What do you think about fantasy?
In Shador, because he's got much higher ADV and resell power. If he does prevail over Dillon Gabriel, I'd rather have him. I don't think I'm drafting Dillon Gabriel, to be honest. But I've seen teams go, I'm trading it. I'm going to take.
You wanted
both.
to before they took Sanders in the 5th.
I know.
I would have.
But how much is that 3rd round pick Dillon Gabriel matter where he went and who else was there? You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't about him.
If Dillon Gabriel, what sucks about this, and this is just my own opinion, I'm not putting this out there for anybody else to adopt. You don't have to agree. But what sucks about this situation is, I think when another quarterback gets a chance to play, he will get his shot before Shador. I do believe that. I don't care what they do in camp. I think they'll throw him out there first. But you don't think that fan base is going to be clamoring to get his ass off the field? He goes out there and throws a couple of ducks, and it is get Bailey Zappe time. Remember that game versus the Bears and the Patriots, and you just knew Zappe is on. Everybody watching that game, I believe it was either Monday Night Football, it was a primetime game. And going into that game, you're like, if Mac Jones turns this thing over, it's going to be Zappe time. And what did he do? Threw a pick, yanked his ass, and it was Bailey Zappe. Crowd goes crazy. They're going to cheer for Sanders, man. I really feel for Gabriel here. Unless he goes in and is just lights out, they're going to be calling for number 2 or whatever number he's going to be wearing to go in the field. So I'm with you. I was very much interested prior to Sanders being there.
That's not a way I've heard it phrased, that you really you created a spectacle around Gabriel where he did nothing to ask for it. You know what I mean?
Nothing at all. He wants to go out there and ball, but you don't think they're both rookies, right? They both weren't high picks. So he gets the first crack. You better believe that if he doesn't go out there and light it up, them boo birds and the Sanders cheers will be loud. I just don't want Gabriel, man. Not here in Cleveland. I don't want him here. I kind of didn't want him at all, but I definitely don't want him now.
If you were playing agent for Dillon Gabriel, you'd almost be like, man, is there a way we can go somewhere else? You know what I mean? Can we go to one of these teams that doesn't have a 3rd string quarterback and just give us a 4th rounder or something like that? That's rough. I didn't think about it that way. Great point.
So quickly, I guess we'll get there. We'll get there when we get to the 5th round. There was one more offensive pick. It won't scroll down enough. The overlays over it. But Tai Felton out of Maryland goes to the Minnesota Vikings here in round 3. And Scott, I'm just going to be honest with you. I have Felton ranked maybe a little. I think this is not it. I think this is a meaningful role. If he could be the 3rd wide receiver in Minnesota, and there's another if, right? Another big if J.J. McCarthy is as good as we think he could be at distributing the ball, the 3rd wide receiver in Kevin O'Connell's offense has been a fruitful role. And if there's a spot where Jefferson goes down, knock on wood, we hope that never happens, or Addison, he missed some time last year, Felton was a player that I had graded out decently. Like he had a decent score in my film grades, and I like this spot here in the 3rd round. I'm not rushing out to draft him, but I don't think this is just a 0 spot for Tai Felton.
No, and people have adjusted. Like, he doesn't even get drafted, but he was a 3rd round pick, so he just made the cut, right? Last pick of the 3rd. But I made the case for him. Like, I liked him a little more than I think his draft capital warranted. You know what I mean? I liked him over TeSlaa, Pat Bryant, even Kyle Williams, Jack Besh, but he went to a spot where people see clearly 2 better receivers, so they just bury him. But this is a team that uses 3 receivers. They've produced multiple receivers that were the number 3 that were relevant. Now, when I say relevant, it's like
for a week.
They had a
for
role.
A week, right?
Yes, they had a role.
Yep.
But he's free. He's free. So he's a guy that's probably on my radar, but I wouldn't blame anybody that says he's a roster clogger. Because honestly, right, his situation, he probably is. Unfortunately for him, unless it's best ball.
All right, let's go to round 4. Scott, Chimere Dike. Not calling him the other word, but Florida.
Yeah, I think it is DK.
I think it's
probably
DK.
for that reason.
It's not
It is.
Dike. I think it's DK.
It
First
is.
wide receiver off the board. First pick on the start of day 3 goes to Tennessee.
Just for the sake of kind of speeding this up a little bit, because we're getting to that range.
Yep.
Would you have? This is not the order of the first 4 receivers in the 4th round that I would have thought. Would you agree? The guys that came off the board?
Not at all.
DK?
Not at all.
Dante Thornton?
Not at all.
Jalen Lane?
Not at all.
Smith?
Not at all. No.
It humbles me knowing you see these guys in Mobile and you're like, they never do one thing that makes you go, oh, wow. And then here we are. So
I will be very, very honest with you very quickly. I have currently zero interest in those 4 receivers that you just named. Very.
No Arian Smith? You don't think he does anything different on the Jets? I mean, they don't have a lot there.
You can draft him. I'm good.
I cannot.
When they had to restart this tunnel screen drill 5 times for him to catch the football, I was out. I'm good, man. I mean, he almost cried because he couldn't catch the damn ball. They restarted the drill 5 times, throwing him the same route, and he kept clanking it off his hands. I'm good, man. I'll let somebody else take Arian Smith. I'll let somebody else take Dante Thornton, and I like his ability to get down the field. And you can have Chimere Dike. I'm good on both of those guys, man. All 3 of them. I'm good. Jalen Lane, too. You can have him. I don't want him. The situations aren't very good. I don't like them. No, thank you. You want Arian Smith with Garrett Wilson. We just pumped up Mason Taylor. You got Breece Hall. They're going to run a wing T offense. No, thank you. I'm good. Bashal Tootin, 104. Cam Scattaboo, 105. Back-to-back picks. Electric to start round 4.
Yeah, I mean, you were hoping for a couple landing spots like this. I know people see Jacksonville as crowded, but it's a new regime. I've maintained that Tank Bigsby's never been good. He's probably he's there. You know why Tank Bigsby will get them
too, man. Just letting you know.
But he has it. The data backs it up. He's been awful. You know why he'll get opportunity, right? Because he's on a rookie deal and he could tote the rock a little bit. But that's why he'll get opportunity, but that doesn't mean he's an asset. I mean, Tootin is the most valuable running back on the Jags right now, not even close. That doesn't mean ETN's dead. Because who would you bet on getting another shot in another spot? ETN or a guy that was a day 3 pick? Like, he'll get another crack. Don't you agree?
ETN.
And it'll be better than the crack people think based on what his price is. But for the short term, like, I think you're firing what? Where do you have Tootin in your ranks? What pick?
16th.
Rounder?
16.
So 204?
Yep.
Even if the opportunity doesn't come week 1, drive 1.
It's all right.
This pick spoke to, it's going to come, right? And it's going to come in a way that you're like, when it hits, it's going to be after 1 game, I'll give you a first. You know what I mean?
Yep, and when it hits, I have the dynasty discipline to do what's necessary at that point in time.
Correct.
Cam Scattaboo, Giants. I'll be very honest with you, Scott. Of all the just landing spots for him that he could have landed into, maybe there are some others you could talk about. Maybe there was a clearer path. I think him in the New York market is a match made in heaven. I really do. He's got good personality. He's going to fit this New York, just grit, attitude, and he's good. And he's a good running back, right? He brings something to the table to play in tandem with Tyrone Tracy. I think they make a good 1-2 punch. Singletary there, 1-2-3 punch. They make a good 1-2-3 punch in New York, and people are going to love him. People are going to love him, so I love him. This is a good spot for him. I like Scattaboo in New York. I have him ranked very high.
Yeah, I mean, can't you just picture it? The scat chants,
dude,
or the boo chants, and a bunch of Scattaboo jerseys
during
the game
for Scattaboo, and he would just eat it up, right? Gets 13 yards, runs over 4 guys, and they just go crazy. I want him. I think he's one of the more valuable assets, and nobody in front of him is truly threatening. Like, Tracy's fine, but no one's scared of Tracy, and he fumbled the hell out of the ball towards the end. Nobody likes Devin Singletary, so the ADV and the pathway for other people to really like him is right there. I think it's a good spot for Scatterboo.
So,
Arian
so
Smith.
you thinking Scatterboo over Matthew Golden?
No, I have him right behind him. I got Golden 13, Scatterboo 14.
Okay, but they're that close. A 4th-round running back and a 1st-round receiver. I mean, that's the power of the stuff you're talking about. 100%.
Absolutely. Deontay Thornton goes to Tennessee. Arian Smith goes to the Jets. We kind of talked about both of those guys, so we're not going to go any further unless Scott has anything else. I want to talk about this 3-pack of running backs that came off damn near back-to-back-to-back. Trevor Etienne to the Panthers. Woody Marks in a trade-up by the Houston Texans. They gave up a 3rd-round pick to get this running back, and then the Rams take Jarquez Hunter out of Auburn. So we've got Trevor Etienne, Woody Marks, Jarquez Hunter off of the board, damn near back-to-back-to-back, 4th round, along with Michelle Tootin and Cam Scatterboo.
I think we should do a little exercise.
Okay.
Let's throw Dylan Sampson in there too.
Okay.
Sampson, Jarquez, Woody Marks, Trevor Etienne. How do you have them tiered, ranked? Because these guys are all going to be being decided between each other. You know what I mean? Like, people are going to have to decipher, navigate this part of the draft. Who do you prefer? How do you put them? And we'll see how similar we are.
I have it. Of which ones? You want just these 4 and then Dylan Sampson? These 3 and Sampson?
Etienne, Marks, Hunter, and Sampson. All the rest of the 4th-round guys.
I have Marks higher. I would have Marks 1, Sampson 2, Hunter 3, and Etienne 4th.
I'm torn. I think I have Woody 1st, but then I have Hunter over Sampson.
Okay.
And then Etienne 4th. But I think I'm warming up on the Hunter bet because I think with Hunter, all he's got to do is be better than Blake Corum. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he is, but I like that situation the most if my guy got an opportunity. You know what I mean? Versus, but Woody Marks, you got to lean first just because of what he does and the situation that he's in. But I'm struggling with the others. Like, a lot of people have Sampson way ahead of Hunter, and they have Hunter and Etienne a lot closer together. I'm kind of like, I got Hunter.
I have Sampson at 23, Hunter at 26. They're 3 spots apart. Okay. They're 3 spots apart. My only pushback to your Hunter thing is, even if Hunter's better than Blake Corum, he still has to be better than Kyren Williams. And Kyren Williams has been top 3 running back for the last 3 years, whereas the Cleveland Browns already told me that Dylan Sampson, they want to play him in tandem with Quinshon Judkins. We just talked about what they did is a reface for Cleveland. Even if Sampson isn't the one, if he is the 1B to Quinshon, I think I would prefer that currently than the backup to Kyren Williams. But if you're thinking a year down the line and they don't want to pay Kyren, and I absolutely see a world where Hunter is the featured back, or at least in the conversation for that going into a 2nd or 3rd year. But that's the only, I have him ahead of Trevor Etienne handily. I mean, I got Etienne at 36. I mean, it's Chuba Hubbard is the guy. They just paid, he's the guy. They brought in Rico Dowdle. I've got Etienne much lower than those 2.
How many more RBs you have above Etienne? Because it sounds like you have, Giddens, Neal, James. You got those goes over Etienne?
100%. I've got Neal and James ahead of him. And maybe a sleeper that I've talked to some people from this team, and they think that he is going to play early. So we'll get to that as we get there.
Okay.
All right, let's move down the board. Go ahead. Anything else?
No, nothing more to say. I think it's interesting. You're just trying to navigate all of these running backs after Tootin and Scatterboo all the way down to Devin Neal. I think the cutoff is probably Tahj Brooks.
Can we
Martinez.
Say, can we hammer in the fact, like, we are both in unison, Woody Marks. Of this group, he is the one that you would prioritize. After Tootin and Scatterboo, Woody Marks would probably be next up in this cluster.
He's the one I want now with the proposition of what his role could be and what he does. Doesn't mean it comes to fruition, but yeah, he's the one I would select first.
Right. We touched on Dylan Sampson a little bit. Jalen Lane, Is there any interest in the 4 wide receivers that we have here? Jalen Lane, Jalen Royals, Elick Aomanor, and Jordan Watkins, who I guarantee nobody had graded.
Yeah, Jordan Watkins feels like the Ronnie Bell, Jacob Cowie. I mean, the damn Niners, right? They
I know.
always draft a guy.
I know, man. I know.
What do I do? You know it's a good team that you know creates efficiency, but a lot of these guys they draft never irrelevant. So yeah. I think there's some ADV on Royals and Aomanor. When I asked the Discord yesterday, tell me stories on guys that are not running backs that are going outside of round 2. These are the 2 names people kept bringing up. These 2 and Jalen Knoll were the 3 that people are like, I'll take that guy. And I think part of that is because these are the 3 that were on the radar in the mocks before the draft.
Correct.
So it doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. I mean, what do you think about Jalen Royals? People are going, oh, if Rasheed gets suspended, he'll play the Rasheed role, but they'll probably just do something else besides.
I got him at 45. That lets you know how I feel.
Okay.
I don't feel great. I've seen this story. I think my write-up is on that blurb for Jalen Royals. Hold on, let me read what I put. For Jalen Royals, what did I write up? Here it is right here. Seen this before, but Royals is a good wide receiver. And Kansas City somehow has the most luck when it comes to wide receivers getting hurt at some point. So, sure. Is he going to be Sky Moore or Rashee Rice? I don't know. He's a good receiver. I had him pre-draft graded high. He's a late 4th round wide receiver. I don't feel great about it today, but I'll have a few in round 4 if I can get them.
Sure.
All right. That is it for round 4. We are on to round 5. We'll speed it up a little bit here in round 5. Shedeur came off of the board at the start, but we've already discussed him and his roles, so we will move on, and we will land on a couple of running backs that we need to discuss. This is a good 3-pack to talk about. You have Jayden Blue that went to the Dallas Cowboys in the 5th, DJ Giddens that goes to the Indianapolis Colts in the 5th, and we also had Jordan James go ahead of both of those guys. Running back out of Oregon, he lands in San Francisco. So Jordan James, Jayden Blue, DJ Giddens. Talk about them, Scott. Frisco, Dallas, and Indy.
Yeah, kind of like these 3. I think especially Jayden Blue and DJ Giddens are getting disrespected / buried a little bit because people just for some reason don't love them or love their spots.
No, don't say for some reason. I'm not going to let you do that because you're better than that. You know why they're saying that about Blue. You know the narrative around him, so don't act like you don't know the narrative. Why aren't people excited about Blue?
Because I think the same argument that you're making for a guy like Brashard Smith later or Woody Marks, it's like you can make the same argument for Jayden Blue. It's just
no, you can't.
Don't like him.
You can't, man.
You can't. I'm making that argument. You may disagree, but I'm saying that.
But I'm saying what is the argument though? What is the argument for Blue versus a team that traded a third? What's the argument for Blue in Dallas? Why is he being disrespected when the University of Texas said you're not a running back, and they put Wester in there to get him out of there? You cannot carry the ball between the tackles for us. Why is he being disrespected?
Because he's a decent receiver and he's fast, right? And he's a running back, and look what else they have. I'm just saying
appropriately placed in. He's a 5th round running back where everybody said Dallas was going to take a running back round 1, round 2. They didn't touch it until round 5, and they took somebody that was completely different than what was on their roster. He's got to seize that role ahead of whatever they have right now. I think he's probably placed where he needs to be. How much higher should he go?
I think he's being viewed even lower than like Deuce Vaughn was being viewed a couple of years ago.
Really? Nah, I got him 25. I got him at 25, right. Scott. Is that too low?
No, that's way higher than consensus. When I say he's being disrespected, it's Kyle Monungai and LaQuint Allen above him. No. I'm being serious that people do not, they've already pigeonholed him as not a running back, will never be a running back, will never get running back opportunity. Don't like him. He's not, put it this way, he's not being elevated because of the Dallas landing spot. Whereas if you would have put 5 other guys in Dallas, you put Damien Martinez in Dallas, he's up there with Gruden and Scattaboo. So
100%.
We're not respecting the fact that Dallas picked him for a reason, 75 picks ahead of Damien Martinez. Yet Damien Martinez, people would still take him. They're still taking Martinez around where Blue is. They're Monungai. I've seen over Jayden Blue because, well, the Bears don't have anything else.
What?
That's what I mean when the respect isn't there for Jayden Blue.
Well, we're not doing that.
Right. He is a 20-year-old running back that the Dallas Cowboys drafted, and he's fast. That's all I need to tell you when he's going in the damn 4th round.
That's crazy.
So
I think he's got a role. I thought he was appropriately placed. I thought I had him appropriately placed, but yeah.
Well, someone in the chat says someone took Jayden Blue 112 in their draft. So that guy's not watching this.
Good
show.
Lord. DJ Giddens.
I'm warming up to DJ Giddens. I'm gonna give the Fantasy Stock Exchange a good shout out for this. They went through, had a really, really cool show they produced, going through their running back model. And I think, put it this way, if you're in, and this might sound like I'm a little hyperbole, but if you're in on Tyler Warren, can you be in on DJ Giddens as a viable backup? As a viable backup running back, because the hate on Giddens is he's behind JT. He'll never get
you can
carry.
make that point with, what does Tyler Warren have to do with any of that?
It's the perception of the situation is pushing Giddens lower. That's what I'm saying.
What does Tyler Warren have to do with that?
Because you're banking on the situation being different. That's what I'm saying. It's the perception of the team that is killing him as a backup running back.
It's not it's Jonathan Taylor. There's no
Right.
People were drafted
Braylon Allen in the back of the 2nd round last year. What was the difference?
Because people like Braylon Allen because he was a 16-year-old running back.
Aside from the likability, that's all I'm saying.
Fade the noise, Scott. People, it ain't got shit to do with Tyler Warren. It ain't got shit to do with the Indianapolis Colts offensive environment. It has everything to do with number 28, Jonathan Taylor. Full stop.
But I'm going to push back on you. I'm going to push back on you because there's plenty of guys like this that people are interested in. Why not him? Why is Jonathan Taylor bulletproof? You know why it is? Here's my perception. Here's why it is. People will accept Jonathan Taylor because he's the
Why do you not like JT, man?
I'm not shitting on JT. I'm saying people will accept him, but they hate the Colts. So they're
Scott.
I'm being honest.
Is the Raiders situation? We don't care, but we don't care about the team when it comes to running back touches. You know that.
People do. People bought into Braylon Allen in the 2nd because they liked him, but they didn't care who he's behind. They immediately said he's going to chip in to get some work. DJ Giddens won't ever see a touch. Forget about the reason you would draft him is literally for supplementary value when JT misses a game if he does. That's the only reason, but people aren't making that argument. I'm just telling you, there's some bias in the situations. And it probably doesn't have anything to do with Tyler Warren, but the team is the reason. The team is the reason.
All right, let's move down the board. We didn't talk about Jordan James. We got to touch on Jordan James real quick because out the gate is RB3. It's Christian McCaffrey. It's Isaac Guerrero. But this is a zone scheme running back that was one of the best in the country, lands on a team that runs zone offense, runs zone rushing concepts. This is the ultimate if something were to happen. He is term life insurance. That is Jordan James. He is term life insurance. You're going to pay it every single month, right? And pray you never have to use it, because if you have to use it, it means your first round pick, Christian McCaffrey, is cooked. But if Jordan James gets on the field, everybody succeeds. They all succeed in Kyle Shanahan's rushing scheme. They all do. And he's a zone running back in a zone scheme. I'm buying the insurance here. I'm buying the insurance of Jordan James in this offense. Scott, I know you love this pick of Keandre Lambert-Smith. So please tell us why he is or is not fantasy viable.
I mean, I don't. The only thing I know about this pick was that the Chargers leaked it before it actually happened. So,
okay,
and that kind of tells me they knew nobody else was going to take him. They had the tweet like 10 minutes before he was actually picked. But that,
all right, we had two tight ends.
We
had two tight ends, Oronde Gadsden and Mitchell Evans. Any interest?
And doesn't it feel like there is some ADV with Gadsden on the Chargers? But
oh yeah,
like these tight end, these kind of tight ends, right, don't work out.
Oh yeah.
You ask people which ones end up working out, and they'll cite Darren Waller, maybe Juwan Johnson. You know how many other wide receiver converts have turned to receiver after a year right out of college?
Probably not many.
Well, there's plenty of them. You just don't know who they are.
Okay.
That's because they're not playing tight end anymore. It's a tough thing to do. But let me ask you this: is there enough opportunity just in the receiving room in general?
No.
To where even if he's not quite a tight end, like he could. Because that's the other thing. Like if you told me they didn't have Mike Williams or Quinton Johnston, I could say maybe he kind of does a little bit of he's just on the field, but
not year one. But here's what I will tell you this. I bet you he will be on the old Ray GQ list of end of season crusty tight ends to pick up. I'll just not with Tyler Conklin, not with Will Dissly. You could burn the pick on him this year. Here's my fantasy advice. Instead of a 4th on Arondé Gadsden, give me the 4th on Kalel Mullins. Give me the 4th on Tahj Brooks. Give me the 4th on any running back, and I will be able to trade for Gadsden towards the end of the year, and then I will make I'll preemptively make the bet that he's got some type of role going into next year, and if he doesn't, the cost of acquisition was nothing, and I cut him. But I don't want to spend any money on him right now. I don't think there's any real pathway to opportunity right now. Mitchell Evans, tight end out of Notre Dame, good tight end. No, thank you. JT Sanders, I feels like he's pretty safe right now. They re-signed, they brought Trimble back. You've got JT Sanders. They draft Tetairoa McMillan, Xavier Legette. He's a blocking tight end. I think they lost Ian Thomas. I've got no fantasy interest in Mitchell Evans. Call me crazy, but I got a little bit for Tory Horton. I got a little fantasy interest in Tory Horton. Not that he'll do any damn thing this year, but another one of those guys towards the end of the season, I will roster Tory Horton in the event that Cooper Kupp is not good and this guy plays on the outside. He does something different than JSN. Not spending a lot, but I'd take a 4th round flyer on Tory Horton.
Yeah, this was one of the names that brought up that was outside of even round 5 that people said could be, or outside of round 4 that people said even could be one of the ones you could tell a story for.
Feels like very Jacoby Myers in the chat. I wouldn't be shocked.
There's a world he's on the field early just because of the way their receiver room is set up.
And I wouldn't be shocked if he's playing early. Not saying he's doing anything, but he's on the field and getting some opportunity. So Tory Horton, I've got some interest in. We got 2 linebackers. Don't ask me where I have them. 2 tight ends. Don't ask me where I have them ranked. We have
where you got those linebackers, Ray, for IDP.
Chris Paul's in a good spot. I'll just say that. He's in a very good spot. This is an SEC tackle maven, man. He's in a good spot, as was Nick Martin to San Francisco. But we've got Robbie Oates, and Jackson.
You got those Robbie Oates ranks.
I don't have him. I have the other one. See, I didn't even know he was on the team because I got CJ Dippery, right? I got that Dippery, but I didn't know Robbie Oates was out there. Jackson Haas is graded. He is going to be a nice blocking option for Josh Allen. I've got nothing else here in round 5.
We can cut this to the chase. Is there any other tight end in this draft? Caleb Lohner, Moliki Mataval, Luke Lachey, Thomas Fedoni you're interested in?
No.
So we're done with tight ends.
We're done with tight ends. And somehow we've got like 10 players we have to discuss in round 6 that we have to. Starting with Ollie Gordon II.
And we got quarterback heaven in round 6.
I mean, this is better. On the stream, I think you left around round 5. It was a little bit of a downer. People were, and then it perked up quick in round 6. So we grinded out this one. Ollie Gordon goes to the Dolphins. Scott?
How do you see this fit? Because it's different than what they have.
Very well. And I talked to a couple of people that said, don't be shocked.
Is this the one?
Don't be shocked if he's out there on the field because he does something. Miami, you start to look at their rushing yards before contact, their 3rd down conversion rate, bottom 5 in the NFL, goal line attempts, bottom 10 in the NFL. Achane was great, but outside of that, and I know Tua wasn't there, they need something else offensively. He does something very different. I still want Achane, but I bet you, this is one I'm willing to say I bet you he's on the field. And we're seeing, now, the biggest problem is Zach Wilson is wearing number 0, and we know Ollie Gordon wore that one, but I do think that he's going to play in this offense, Scott. I truly believe that. I think he's going to get on the field, as will another running back that we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of people go, okay, Jalen Wright, is he done for? Like, if you had him, what level of running back would you clearly take over him? Would it be really any of these guys, maybe other than Khalil Mullins? Would you take the reroll on Neil Gordon or Tahj Brooks over Jalen Wright?
100%. 100%. 100%.
And I assume Martinez and Brashard Smith as well?
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. Kyle McCord, Philly. Any interest?
Is he better than Tanner McKee? I don't know.
Probably not. Or they're the same.
I'm the one that literally is more interested in the backup quarterbacks than almost anybody. But I even struggle, and I'll just say this, with all the quarterbacks other than Will Howard. I don't look at any of the depth charts and see how Graham Mertz is beating out Davis Mills, or Kyle McCord is beating out Tanner McKee, or Riley Leonard is beating out Daniel Jones. He's not. And Cam Miller not beating out Aiden O'Connell. Unless there's a move, then no.
If you took all of the worst parts of Anthony Richardson and all of the worst parts of Daniel Jones and combining those two together, you have Riley Leonard. Like, literally, he is a match made for the Colts. He will not throw. He'll run around, kamikaze body. Just what a pick from the Colts. This is just the training camp passes from those three ought to be something. It ought to look something. It'd be a sight to behold. I'll tell you that right now. I've got no interest in Riley Leonard as well, but I do have interest in Devin Neal as well as Will Howard. So Devin Neal, Will Howard, Scott.
They still have Sam Ellinger as well, so add him to the mix.
Wow.
I'm just saying they have a type.
Wow. What a QB. There's no way Shane Steichen goes to bed and stands before that team of men and says, we're going to contend for a title, folks. Ain't no chance. Not with them four quarterbacks. Not a chance in hell. Devin Neal, Will Howard, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, Devin Neal's kind of the same argument that, you're making for Ollie, right?
Yep.
Like he does something maybe a little different than what they have, and they clearly, it's similar to Kendre Miller's a year advanced of Jalen Wright, where it's just this says they wanted another guy. Doesn't mean that Devin Neal's clearly better, but you got to move on from those backup running backs when sometimes they don't get their opportunity because there's no injury. But then there's other things that happen, and you're just like, even when there was a space for opportunity, like Jalen Wright, there were multiple times where they needed another back, and it was Jeff Wilson or Mostert. You know what I mean? It was never him to go, okay, I'm the next in line to at least stave off another draft pick the next year. So we'll see. There'll be fun competitions with some of these teams that are 3 deep, and you're just like, man, because you got to hold a guy like Jalen Wright or Kendre on your roster because they're still on the team, but you got to be able to cut bait real quick.
Yeah.
You need a roster spot, go.
100%. All right, Kaleb Mullins, I'll just say some interest. I mean, Tyjae Spears felt like he was in the concussion protocol every 5 minutes. I think they had like Haskins, and what is he going to be? This Tennessee draft offensively for Cam Ward was very flaccid-inducing. I would have bet my house that Damien Martinez and Brashard Smith would get drafted ahead of Kaleb Mullins. And not that his capital is so much better, but I thought he was a UDFA guy. Goes to Tennessee, I'll just say any RB on a 53 type interest. If he's on the roster, then sure, I will have him as well. I've got him inside my top 50. I got him inside my top 50.
Isn't it funny how you can tell yourself easily the story that he's different than what the other two Tennessee backs are, but nobody liked him or cared before? Now, you put Martinez in this spot, there's some excitement, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Mullins goes to Seattle, and he's around 8 pick. You know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying, though, right?
Yes,
like,
it's all
clearly
ADD.
Just the preconceived perception of the situation and the other guys there, along with who the name was, literally deciphers how people tier these guys. Mullins was a blind spot. I'm sitting here going, I have no interest, but you just sold me like there's at least something he could bring to the table. He could just be another Hassan Haskins.
That's it.
Or Julius Chestnut, a big guy that does nothing. But I get it.
We did not touch on Will Howard, man. We got it. Will Howard. I've got interest in Will Howard. Superflex, I want Will Howard.
High? How high? Because he's getting drafted as basically like he's going to start. And it's going to be sooner rather than later.
I got him 37th.
Wow, you're low on him.
I got him 37th.
You're low on him. I think a lot of people are drafting him like he's definitely going to get starts. I mean, what if you had to handicap it percentage-wise that you think he gets starts this year, what would you say it is?
Half a game.
You mean half a game over under?
Like over under. Does he start one game this year? That's where I would put it.
Okay, that's probably lower than I think the community thinks.
That's where I would put it. I'd put it at, does he make a start this year?
Okay.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes, how many starts did he make during his rookie year?
1.
What an awful comparison.
They're totally different.
Just an awful comparison, but that's the only
Patrick Mahomes had Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson.
I can think about real quick that started one game, but I said it at half a game. I don't think he's going out there starting.
Okay,
Tahj
but
Brooks,
here's what people want.
I love to hear your thoughts.
We have to have this conversation real quick. Here's what people want to know. Their rookie drafts are going to happen before the Steelers sign Rodgers, if they do. That people want to know because if they don't sign Rodgers, right, that number's not a half a game. It's probably higher.
Cool. I put it at 1.5 games.
Okay, Ray's not drafting that Will Howard.
I think he will play, but what the bet you're making with that, drafting him that high, 207, is you just know he's better than Mason Rudolph. And I bet you they trot Mason Rudolph out there as long as they can. Bet that. And
he's a winner. He's a Steeler. He's gritty. He can run. That's the story that's being told.
I got him 30. I felt like I was aggressive having him inside the top 40. I will not have him a spot higher than 30. So we'll adjust as time goes on. These rank. And here's the thing. This is the ranks on April 27th, folks. We've got mini camp, OTAs, training camp. These things are fluid and will change. But right now, I'm not baking that into where I'm going to pay for him. If you want to buy Will Howard at the 207, be my guest. I will wait and let stuff play out. I'm good on that, man. Tahj Brooks, 193. Scott, I want your opinion. I'll just say this. I think Chase Brown was a winner. I think Tahj Brooks is a good running back, but I do not think Tahj Brooks comes in and usurps Chase Brown, puts him on the bench. I do think Brooks could potentially, maybe with an injury or so, work his way on the field. He's a good running back, but I don't think he's any immediate threat to Chase Brown.
No, zero threat, perfect compliment.
Good.
You got to be interested in Tahj Brooks, but yeah, I mean, Chase Brown is they're gonna give him another year to probably not do what he did last year because that's unsustainable, but damn close to it. So I think he's a huge winner from the draft. But I'm interested in Tahj Brooks. I mean, look who he has to beat out. You know what I mean?
So am I.
Yeah.
Graham Mertz.
Ugh.
Okay.
This is Sean Clifford again. I was shocked to see his name.
Oh, okay.
You remember when Sean Clifford got drafted? And you're
Green Bay.
Is that real?
Green Bay. Yeah, is this real? I was shocked too. CJ Stroud is safe. Let's leave it at that. CJ Stroud is safe. I kind of like this receiver pick. Sneaky down here. LeJohntay Wester. LeJohntay Wester. I had a decent film grade on him. He's an inside guy. He was good before he transferred to Colorado. Him and Tez Walker would be an interesting camp battle. Whatever role he occupied, that's probably what Wester is trying to get. I don't know if I would use a draft pick on him, but if he were on waivers, I'd probably pick him up and see what happens and just see what happens.
Isn't he one of these like super small but not fast guys?
Yeah. He's not slow, I don't think.
I mean, I guess that's why he's in the sixth round. But
I don't think he's slow. But it's, none of the Colorado. Think about that. The only Colorado receiver to really get drafted was Hunter. I mean, Will Shepard was a UDFA, and then you got Wester and Jimmy Horn here in the 6th round. So there you go. Jimmy Horn went to Carolina. Any interest? And there was some breaking news that they drafted Jimmy Horn, and a few hours ago they signed Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, they got a lot of guys right now. I don't think it's probably going to be an open competition for even their back
for
2 or
everybody
3 receivers.
For everybody. And it feels like it's going to be may the best man win, right?
Yeah, they still have David Moore, Coker, these guys. I mean, Thielen. Yeah, they got a lot of guys there. So
Tommy Millette, and they went Montana State and North Dakota State. I guarantee the Raiders let that scout just make the picks. Fuck it, we're down here at the bottom of the 6th. Yeah, I know you get no love, so find us a gym from Montana State and North Dakota State. Any interest in Tommy Mellott and Cam Miller?
A lot of people are talking up Tommy Millott as I think it's Millott, I believe. Okay. But neither you or I know much other than what we see on the screen.
A lot of people are talking
people are talking him up as the next Taysom Hill. That's his role. So they're just hoping for this wild card that gets a bunch of positions and is used in a bunch of different ways. Our very own Cody Smith called him he's a top 3 receiver and tight end and running back on the current Raiders roster. But when Cody's talking about him, you know it's a long shot. So, but yeah, next Taysom Hill is all I've heard.
What a wild thing to say. Let's go to round 7. Finish this thing up. Thomas Fidone, tight end out of Nebraska.
We already eliminated all the tight ends.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Did you hear that fun fact on Fidone that he's got a tattoo that he tattooed himself with the needle?
Dude, that's insane.
That's dog right there.
What a dog. What a damn dog. It was good in the Senior Bowl. Damien Martinez lands in Seattle in round 7, man. There's some off the field stuff with Martinez. I don't know how he fell this far, but man, what a slide. I have moderate to low interest. Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet get banged up. If he can seize the third back role, sure, but pretty disappointing to see him land here.
You know, it's funny. I know we talked like a week or two before the draft. Like, I thought, and this is where we can be so wrong on thinking that NFL teams view things a certain way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I would have been more I expected RJ Harvey potentially to be a guy that fell, and Martinez a guy that rose. You know what I mean? Right. And here we are, one win in the 2nd, one win in the 7th.
100%. 100%. Are you interested in him?
To what you said, he's going to be on a roster, hopefully, and it's hard to see the path. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like you got to wait a year to see if they do anything at running back, and then wait another draft to see if they do anything at running back. So do you want to roster him? He's probably even below the 53 hold because he's.
I don't have him inside my top 50. When I released him, he's not inside my top 50.
Interest level like Isaiah Davis last year. Remember?
Yeah. Oh, I'm interested. 100%.
Same type of thing. Like you have him, but like you literally something needs to change probably for him to get opportunity.
And if I had to guess without looking at ADP data, people like him, so he's probably still getting drafted, right? Is he still going in round 4, or have people moved off of him?
I haven't gotten to. I've seen some mocks where he still gets drafted, but no, I don't think people are excited. They don't like the spot. He fell too far.
Well, let's give one where people are excited, as I am. I literally was getting dressed for that old Kendrick Lamar concert last night, and I called in off my phone because Cody Smith was poo-pooing Brashard Smith out of SMU to the Kansas City Chiefs here in the 7th round. And call me crazy, but I want him. I want him, Scott. I want Brashard Smith.
But isn't this also like the argument Cody was making was like the Chiefs use a ton of running backs, but isn't that the argument you make for Brashard Smith?
Oh, yeah.
Like you just
Hell yeah.
invest in somebody they have and see what happens.
Listen, probability probably low, but he will look, I'm telling you right now, he's going to look a lot different running the ball than Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. He's a converted wide receiver. So what I wrote up about him in my rankings was, can he be a poor man's version of what Jerick McKinnon was for this offense when Jet was there? Towards the end of his, not Minnesota Vikings Jerick McKinnon that got paid a bunch of money by Kyle Shanahan, but can he occupy that kind of space player created role? We'll see. We'll see. If I trust any offensive mind to do it, it's Andy Reid. And I don't think you take Brashard Smith without a plan. Like he went here for a reason because he's not a featured back. We Got to see him in person. He's not a big dude. He's not. He's not a big running back. Probably don't want him doing the things that Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco can do. But if I'm taking a 4th-round flyer on a running back that can get in there, and what if he does look good? Talk about the ROI from where you draft him to what you could probably flip him for hopium.
Yeah, I mean, can he be James Williams, Darwin Thompson? There's some good names, right? I'm just kidding. Those are the bad names that you would probably comp him to. I mean, the ADV's through the roof. He's a Chiefs
ADV.
running back. That's all it is. It's the ADV's through the roof.
No, I think it's more than that. I do think that offensively he can find I'm just gonna say this. If y'all ain't heard me in a while, I am not of the mindset of just because you were drafted in the 5th, 6th, or 7th round that you cannot carve out a role in the NFL. I don't believe that. It may not. You can give me it's a low probability. The outcome is low. The percentage is low. Fine, good, great. But you also cannot tell me that there's no world in which he's utilized in a way. So I don't think it's just he's there in a body. I would like to see how he's deployed, because looking at the offensive situation right now, he is a little bit different than the other backs there, which means he's not going to be asked to do those kind of back things. So can he just come in and do some other stuff? I'm not saying he's going to be some 20-point per game guy. Can I draft him in the 4th round and sell him on the idea that somebody else likes him? I don't think there's a landing spot from a team that didn't invest anything in a running back, and then they take one that people like. I am in on Brashard Smith.
Yeah, well said.
Quinn Ewers to Miami. He's the right now, he looks like he's the front runner for why you should use NIL and go back to college. I saw people talking about that today. Like, are people going to look at the Quinn Ewers effect, look at the Shedeur effect, think back to Matt Barkley when he was projected to be number 2 overall and fell to the 5th? And some of these quarterbacks say, I ain't coming out, man. I'm not coming out to go round 7. I think you're on mute. I think you muted yourself.
Oh, no, I got you. I'm going to compare these two because these are the next 2 quarterbacks up. But this is preconceived opinion and ADV at work. You see the comment in the chat from Matt. I'm not picking on Matt, but put up his comment real quick.
All right, let me find it. Where's Matt at?
I got it. From the super chat.
I got it.
Okay. Fair question, right?
Is there any world where Tua is out and Ewers wins the QB2 job?
Like Tua's injured.
Yeah, where Tua's out. Yeah.
Back up and he plays, right?
And he's the backup. Yep.
Have you heard, and I've seen this a couple times, like, is he going to be the backup? Is he going to beat out Zach Wilson? Is he going to get the crack if Tua misses games due to concussions, right?
Right.
Haven't heard one person. Now, this guy may not be healthy. Why hasn't the same question been asked? Can Curtis Rourke get in there if Brock Purdy's out? Because both situations, you're kind of like the backup quarterback. You just want them because they're in that offense, right? Both situations. But it's Ewers immediately better than Zach Wilson. I haven't heard anybody say, could Curtis Rourke be better than Mac Jones? And they're both short-term backup options. I like Curtis Rourke in San Francisco just as much as I like Quinn Ewers in Miami. But which one, if they got an opportunity, would people go, oh, man, Quinn Ewers, because he should have been higher than what he was. You know what I mean? But no, if Tua is injured in week 6, who's starting? Quinn Ewers or Zach Wilson, who's starting 30 games in the NFL?
Wilson.
That's the tough part about rostering these two, is you're waiting a year to hopefully solidify the next man up role, and you're still behind a guy that has a $50 million contract.
Yeah. And I see some people asking about, seems to be a lot of positivity for Brashard Smith about him. Yep. And to answer this question, watch out for my boy. He says McKinnon was a solid pass blocker, which helped Howard Smith. You don't want him doing that. Like, probably not. Probably not who you want to protect Mahomes when Roquan Smith is barreling down the A-gap. Probably
he's
will not end
190 pounds still. So
yeah. He's not a big dude. He's got to play a certain role, but there is positive enthusiasm for him. Kyle Monungai, 233. Ben Johnson got his running back, man.
He's on a depth chart that people have already gravitated towards. I mean, they were all draft. It was when are the Bears going to take their running back? When, round 2, round 1, round 2. 3, 4, 5, 6. Finally, in round 7, they take Kyle Monungai, who was the RB 22 off the board.
Yep.
I mean, he's different than DeAndre Swift, but I've seen some. He's supplanted Roschon Johnson already.
Oh wow!
Get out of here! Give me the guy that's already been on the
for
team
2 years. I mean? For 2 years, yeah.
So how is he any different than Damien Martinez? Other than dynasty managers think the 2 in Seattle are more steady. Do you know what I mean?
Yep, 100%. Tez Johnson, any interest? Just we could be quick here. I mean, it's
okay. I'm intrigued because of the name Tez Johnson, but I mean, he went to the Buccaneers. You know what I mean? Like, it's if he'd gone to the Titans, would you have been interested at all?
No, I'm not, man. I'm not. Yeah, I can squint real hard and tell myself this elaborate story that if like 30 receivers got hurt on Tampa Bay, he would play, and you got Baker. But realistically, no. I don't even know
Ricky White than Tez Johnson.
People talk about running back roster cloggers. I don't really believe that exists until the running back no longer is on a 53. But all these receivers, Tez Johnson, Ricky White, Caden Prather, Kanata Mumpfield, they're all Dominic Lovett. Every last one that we have not talked about yet. Those are your roster cloggers. I'm trying to skip through some of this. Junior Bergen. I've got zero interest in any of these pass catching options. Zero.
Yeah. And you play a lot of best ball, even best ball.
Zero.
A lot of people will
a lot of people will.
Well, just say a lot of people will pick these guys up in best ball because, so many receivers throughout the year play. But I think we do have to be realistic that you have to find a path to why the guy's going to win a job, make the team, and then potentially get on the field or have a role. It's a lot more than just they're a receiver in best ball, so I'll take the dart. I'd actually still rather draft the 3rd running back because you never know when they could have an injury and get lucky to start. You're going to cut them regardless, but I'd rather have the quicker
at this point
outcome.
Ricky White and Kanata Mumpfield and Dominic Lovett have just as good a chance to make this roster as the 8 receivers they picked up in UDFA. They've got just as good a chance. So no, this is roster clogger land. As bad as I think Phil Maffa is, I would draft Phil Maffa over every one of these pass catchers. Easily.
LaQuint Allen, same thing.
LaQuint Allen, Ja'Cory Krosky, Merritt. Give me all those guys over every receiver that's left. The only
100%.
final fantasy relevant guy I'm mildly interested in, because I love diving into the dirty tight end land, it's Luke Lachey, who is damn near Mr. Irrelevant that goes to Houston down here. 0 year 1 upside, 0 kind of outlook, but I will watch that situation. And if he gets on the field towards the end of the season, I'll probably have him going into year 2. That's about it.
Okay.
Anybody else that do you want to touch on LaQuint Allen, Ricky White, Phil Maffa, any of these guys?
I mean, you talked about Phil Maffa briefly. I mean, he does something different than Jayden Blue, right? And they did use a draft pick on him, but I mean, Ray's a recovering Dallas fan. This probably wasn't the dream tandem if they were going to draft 2 running backs.
I said they were going to draft 2, Scott. I was like, they're drafting 2. I did not have Jayden Blue and Phil Maffa on the bingo card.
Wouldn't you have rather had Brashard Smith and Kyle Monungai instead?
Just give me Ollie Gordon and just something other than Phil Maffa and Jayden Blue. But yeah, LaQuint Allen, any interest there? How's that LaQuint Allen impact Tootin or Biggs? It feels like they're preparing for one of those 2 to be gone, whether that's Bigsby or ETN.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to get some ETN after these draft picks just because, I mean, on the stream, hell, they were talking about what 3rd can we get for ETN. I'm like, I either want him on the Jags or he goes somewhere else and I want him. You know what I mean? He's going to get another crack. So they did use 2 draft picks in a draft where they traded up capital. They still use 2 picks on running back. So it sounds like, Liam Cohen has his hands on, he probably wanted at least Tootin, but he might have wanted LaQuint Allen too. Like, they're probably preparing for a new regime, and it's not Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne.
Greg, I can't answer this. Greg says, sorry, Ray, but what the hell is Dallas, though? I can't answer it. I don't know. I like what they did earlier in the draft, but Scott, we do have some super chats, okay? Well, Dan says, is Luke Lachey worth a waiver pickup if he surpasses 4 rounds in super flex 1.5 tight end premium? Yeah, sure. Off of waivers, just free.
$0, just like a lot of guys we talked about. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not
$0.
spending my season fab that I could spend on a starting quarterback that comes from an injury. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
0.
If I get him, I get him. If I don't, I don't.
Yeah, $0. We got a couple of super chats and then a couple of questions that I want to wrap up with, and we'll get out of here. Jags also added Quinshon Judkins as a UDFA. Here's one, Scott. Dallas did not take a wide receiver. Okay. Initial thoughts with Dallas not taking a receiver. What does that offense look like from a pass game standpoint? Because the 3 starting wide receivers right now with no Brandon Cooks is probably Jalen Brooks, Jalen Tolbert, and CeeDee Lamb.
I mean, you looked at their depth chart, Ray. They list Jonathan Mingo and Jalen Tolbert as the starters, alongside. And apparently Mingo's been getting a lot of pump. That's one of the reasons they justified not drafting a receiver. So
they did not take a wide receiver the entire draft, man. CeeDee Lamb, 200 targets. Let's go.
Yeah, the CeeDee Lamb, a CeeDee Lamb generational season coming up.
Maybe. I could see it. You think that's crazy?
You seen who else they got on this depth chart, Ray? If you can name one of their 3 wide receivers, 7, 8, and 9 right now.
And I'm a Cowboys fan.
But it doesn't matter. This is perfect for you. This is the perfect trivia question for Ray Garvin.
I gave you Jalen Brooks.
He's actually higher. He's their wide receiver 4. So we're way lower. You're going to love all 3 of these.
Kevontae Turpin.
No, he's wide receiver 5. And Ryan Flournoy is wide receiver 6.
I was about to say Flournoy. I can't name anybody else.
These guys are below Flournoy.
I can't name anybody else.
Okay, so they picked up Paris Campbell.
Okay, I do remember that.
Yeah. They have Kelvin Harmon. Your Devy brains got fired up, right?
Love that Harmon. Fantasy footballers loved him too.
Seth Williams.
Oh, Fusuvu, love that Seth Williams out of Auburn.
When I saw those 3, I'm like, that takes me back to Devy 2017, 2018.
Yeah. Good night. Couple of super chats, Scott. We got to get to a couple of super chats before we get out of here. This one from AJ Wood. Shout out to AJ in the building. He said 12-team super flex, no tight end premium, on the clock at 112. Need a QB3 or running back. KJ, Dart, Golden, Loveland on the block. RBs, Henry, Brees, Bucky, Chuba, Swift, Mason. QBs, Kyler, Baker, and tight ends, Hockenson, Ingram. Thank you. Need a QB3 or running back. KJ, so I'm saying Kaleb Johnson, Jackson Dart, Matthew Golden, Colston, Loveland are on the board.
This must be a wild board with Dart and KJ there at 112.
Well, KJ. Super flex, no tight end premium.
KJ. I got Baker,
yeah.
Kyler.
You got Kyler and Baker. Give me Caleb. Give me Caleb. I agree.
Yep.
This is a dope one right here from Jeffrey Rhodes. And Jeffrey, if you had an actual question or comment here, I'm gonna filibuster for a second so you can type that in, because you did drop a $100 freaking super chat right here. $100 from Jeffrey Rhodes. So I'm gonna just say this. We ain't gonna stay on if Jeffrey ain't here. But Jeff, first and foremost, appreciate the love. Thank you for the super chat. If you don't respond before we end, just comment in the video, like the YouTube comments. Comment what your question was, and I will make sure that Scott and I answer it. I promise you that. I want to say thank you for watching. Appreciate the support. I'll monitor the chat before we get out of here, but we're about to close. Got a couple of more. Dr. Doom Little, 199 super chat. Ray, the NBA robbed my Pistons. I haven't watched any basketball today. My freaking Lakers lost. Down 3-1, man. Lakers took an L to Minnesota. It's not looking good, so I don't know. Oh, he must be talking about the tip in. Scott, what do you think about that? Was that good or not? Should that have been called or no?
Initially, I thought it should have, but there was too many. The technology we have today.
He got it in?
There's too many too much dissection of the play.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Sucks, man. Pistons had a good season too, man. Pistons had a good season. $9.99 super chat. DFF fantasy crew is so much more enjoyable to listen to than any other channel. What y'all are doing is special. Effort, energy, informative, work. Yo, man, I ain't here to compare ourselves to anybody else, right? Everybody can do. There's enough bad fantasy football analysis for us all to talk about. There's plenty enough out there, so we don't need to hog it all. But I do appreciate the fact that you enjoy what we do. It is a lot of effort. It is a lot of work, and we try to make things informative and entertaining. So, Scott, I just have to say thank you. Like, I got nothing else to say besides I appreciate it. And you don't have to send super chats to show that love. Just subscribe to these channels, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to this channel, show these creators love. So thank you, Joe. Appreciate that, man. And we had one more. I think that's it, Scott. I think we're out of there. I think we're clear. I'm going to check to see if Jeff Rhodes is in the building. If he is, if he ain't, he could drop it in the chat. We'll make sure he's good. Scott, any final thoughts, man? Any final thoughts? Patrick said, how do I get back in the cord? Get back in, Patrick. What do you mean? Get back in, man. Get back in, Patrick. Anything you want to say to people before we get out of here, Scott?
No, I think if you're just looking at, we didn't talk about any UDFAs. There's some running backs out there that got signed. Rocket Sanders, Marcus Yarns. Like, I'm fine picking up UDFAs because they, like you said, they have just as good a shot as making the team as Phil Maffa. You know what I mean? Kyle the young guy. Yeah. So but they're as simple as pick them up because they're a running back, but drop them when they're not a running back on a team. So yeah, if you're bidding on waiver players, I don't mind Jaquindon Jackson. Like, I don't mind picking those guys up, but that's it. Pick them up, see what happens.
Hell yeah. All right, that's the show. We do this every single year, post NFL draft. Every single pick, every single round, we went through the fantasy relevant players. Scott, thank you for an incredible weekend of draft content. I know we are just getting started over here. You said we will be in the Discord on our stages every single day this week. So make sure, link in the description, you get into the Discord. Discounted rate right now. Come tap in. Scott and Shane have roster reviews live. You can go to ddfantasyfootball.com, get your rosters reviewed. Make sure you do that. There's a queue. Right? You wait too late. You know you got a damn rookie draft on Friday. You want some stuff looked at. Make sure you get in, get your roster reviewed ahead of time. You start doing that thing an hour before, it ain't happening. I'm just letting you know right now. It ain't happening in an hour, okay? Go to the website, sign up, join the community. Make sure you pull up tomorrow morning for Wake Up with myself and Jay Rich, and then just stay locked into all the content on the channel. We appreciate y'all. Hit the thumbs up button, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you soon. Peace. Y'all know what it is, man. We love y'all. DD for life, all gas all the time. Y'all have a good evening. Make this week great. We'll see y'all on the channel. We out. Peace.